Chapter 371. The two silver puppets rushed in with their axes. One of them went to the front to lure the enemy, while the other went to the back of the giant spider and threw the axe in its hand. One of the gold puppets suddenly stood up and reached out to grab the short axe that was rolling towards it. It slashed down fiercely. Boom! At this moment, the silver puppet that was luring the enemy suddenly exerted its strength and ran towards the back of the giant spider. The other silver puppet ran to the front to lure the enemy. When the gold-level puppets obtained the short single-edged axes, their attack power changed completely. The sharp attacks immediately broke through the back of the metal spider's armor. The two gold-level puppets attacked together, and a crack appeared on the spider's back. Boom! 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 As the crack expanded, the giant metal spider frantically turned in circles. It already had a bad feeling. Finally, one of the gold puppets slashed down with its axe, and the huge axe sank deep into the back of the giant spider. As the axe was pulled out, the giant metal spider's movements slowed down. Then, the other gold puppet slashed down with its axe at the same location as the previous attack. With a loud boom, the entire axe sank deep into the spider's back. Kacha! Kacha! The metal spider that everyone was helpless against was completely paralyzed. Its two remaining pincers waved a few times before finally falling from the sky. With two bangs, the two pincers completely calmed down. Lei Xingfeng laughed. It's done. This thing is too F***king perverted. Its attack power is fine, but its skin is too thick. I can't even cut it. When he walked in front of the giant metal spider, Lei Xingfeng felt that he was so small. He said, "This is a killing machine. I really don't know how it was made." He reached out and patted the giant metal pincers. They were black and shiny, and only the mouth of the pincer shone with a silver light. If one was bitten by this thing, there was basically no chance of escaping. It could cut one in half without a problem. Even steel was no exception. Tiger Love said, "There are 4 large metal boxes at the back. Hee, I think they contain the giant metal spider." Lei Xingfeng was instantly overjoyed. He actually liked this giant spider very much. Not only was it majestic, but it also had thick skin and strong defense. If he stood on its back and fought with others, he would have a lot of advantages. Jean Dias said, "This metal box doesn't look like it can fit the giant metal spider. Let's pry it open." 2 gold-level mannequins and 6 silver-level mannequins easily pried open a large metal box. Xian Feng jumped to the side of the box and released his lightning stamp to illuminate the area. With just a glance, he couldn't help but laugh. Hee, my luck has always been good. It really is this kind of large metal spider. 8 long metal legs curled up on both sides of its body. A pair of large metal pincers curled up in front of its face. The entire metal spider was curled up in the metal box. On the spider's back, there were a few small metal boxes. They should be accessories or other things. When he pried them open, there were indeed many parts. The most important thing was that in one of the metal boxes, there was a box full of crystals. Of the 4 large metal boxes, 3 of them were filled with goods, and 1 was empty. It was probably the giant metal spider that he was fighting. Who knew when it came out? Although its back was split open, Lei Xingfeng still planned to keep it. Even if this thing couldn't be repaired, it could still be used as an accessory. He didn't know how to produce this kind of thing. The 3 unactivated giant metal spiders and the half-damaged giant metal spider were all stored in Lei Xingfeng's hidden Luin space. This time's harvest made him happy. It was rare for him to have a chance like this. Almost every floor of the short tower gave him a surprise. Jean Dias said, "If it can be repaired, there will be 4 giant spiders." Hee, this strength isn't just for show. It's definitely powerful. Tiger Love laughed. A Feng is overjoyed. Hee, look at a Feng. If it weren't for his ears, his smile would reach the back of his head. Jean Dia looked at Lei Xingfeng and suddenly laughed. One must know that Lei Xingfeng's appearance was very compatible with Tiger Love's. He wasn't just grinning like a fox that had stolen chicken. That pride and happiness were written all over his face. Lei Xingfeng was confused. "What are you laughing at?" Jean Dia and Tiger Love both laughed loudly. Lei Xingfeng said, "Crazy." Then he continued to laugh foolishly. There was no helping it. He was too happy. The black bird cawed twice, indicating that it was also laughing. Of course, it didn't dare to speak nonsense. If it was Jean Depang, it would definitely have a sharp tongue. Lei Xingfeng laughed. Let's go to the next floor. I feel great. Commanding the 2 gold level mannequins and the 6 silver level mannequins, Xian Feng felt even more anticipation as he headed towards the next floor. After a few minutes, the 3 of them saw the exit. The 2 gold level beasts entered first, followed by the 6 silver level beasts. However, this time, there was no sound. Xian Feng hurriedly walked 2 steps forward and entered this floor as well. This floor was completely empty. Under the illumination of Lei Xingfeng's Lei Yin, there was nothing. There was only a layer of dust on the ground. Lei Xingfeng sighed. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. There's nothing on this floor. Jean Dia said, it's impossible to find everything all the time. That's normal. Lei Xingfeng said, I know, but I'm a little disappointed. Let's not talk about treasures like the giant metal spiders. Some steel puppets would be good too. Tiger Love immediately laughed. Feng, you're too greedy. How can there be so many benefits? The harvest is already good enough. Lei Xingfeng scratched his head and laughed. I don't think I'm that greedy. I'm just a little disappointed. Jean Dia said, let's continue. I also want to know how many treasures there are in this short tower. Tiger Love also laughed. There's nothing in other places except this short tower. I wonder how many floors there are below. Lei Xingfeng said, I don't know how many floors there are below, but it's definitely higher than this short tower. There should be more underground. According to his understanding, this kind of tower was made entirely of steel. Therefore, it was necessary to develop underground. The tower was built to be stable, so the underground was the foundation. Let's go down. Let's continue, With the mannequin beast as the vanguard, he became much bolder. Generally speaking, in such an unfamiliar environment, every step he took was filled with trepidation. However, with the mannequin beast, they could advance without any fear. Even if there were ambushes, traps, or other dangers, the humanoid beast would take care of them. It would not endanger Lei Xingfeng and the others. The humanoid beast's role was highlighted. It was the best assistant in an exploration. Moreover, Lei Xingfeng was really generous in this exploration of the short tower. He directly took out 2 gold and 6 silver level humanoid beasts. No matter what kind of enemy came, it would be enough to deal with them. If they continued to walk down, they would not have to go through the spiral tunnel. Instead, there was a staircase in the middle of this floor that led down. According to Lei Xingfeng's estimation, they should have reached the first floor of the short tower, which was the level with the ground. If they went down further, they would enter the underground floor. This time, the gold-level humanoid beast led the way, followed by the silver-level humanoid beast. Finally, Lei Xingfeng and the other 2 entered. The lower floor was filled with empty metal boxes. They filled up the space, leaving only a narrow walkway. When Lei Xingfeng went down, he was pleasantly surprised. In the end, he found nothing. He looked around and found that they were all huge, empty boxes. This disappointed Lei Xingfeng and the others. Soon, they found a door made of steel. They relied on the gold-level humanoid beast to forcefully break it open. This door was about 10 centimeters thick. After forcefully breaking it open, it revealed a passageway that led downwards. As soon as the gold-level humanoid beast entered, an intense battle broke out. The silver-level humanoid beast quickly rushed in, followed by Lei Xingfeng and the others. This was a huge space, about 10,000 square meters. Lei Xingfeng immediately saw 4 large metal spiders and dozens of metal humanoid beasts. There were also hundreds of metal humanoid beasts leaning against the wall. There were also 3 large metal spiders by the wall. However, the metal humanoid beasts and metal spiders leaning against the wall did not move. Lei Xingfeng sucked in a breath of cold air. For large metal spiders, he immediately released a gold-level humanoid beast and 30 silver-level humanoid beasts. In other words, he released all the humanoid beasts that could move. There were 3 gold-level humanoid beasts and 36 silver-level humanoid beasts. Jean Dia was shocked. That many. Tiger Love said, "Let's go." He flew forward. However, he was very smart. He did not attack the large metal spiders. Those things were too abnormal. Just a little bit of them could take away half of your life. Therefore, he attacked the metal humanoid beasts. Jean Dia was stunned for a moment. However, he also reacted and said, "Let's work together." He immediately rushed over to join forces with Tiger Love. Of course, Lei Xingfeng would not just stand by and watch. He also rushed forward. Lane flew out, protecting his body first. Then, he used the Chaos Wheel. A bolt of lightning mixed with a wisp of flame instantly slashed out with the Chaos Wheel. With a loud bang, the Chaos Wheel shattered the 3 metal humanoid beasts in an instant. Lei Xingfeng was stunned. He did not expect the Chaos Wheel to be so powerful. The 4 large metal spiders were the biggest threat. Lei Xingfeng ordered the 3 gold-level humanoid beasts to entangle them. In addition, he also sent a few silver-level humanoid beasts to help. He, Jean Dia, Tiger Love, and the remaining silver-level humanoid beasts went all out to kill the metal humanoid beasts. Jean Dia grabbed the thigh of a metal humanoid beast. With a loud shout, he swung it like a giant hammer. He viciously smashed the metal humanoid beast that was pouncing towards him. The result was that both humanoid beasts were smashed together. However, Jean Dia was also very tired. After smashing a few more metal humanoid beasts, he scurried to the side and supported his legs. He raised his head and gasped for breath. On the other hand, Tiger Love hid behind the silver-level humanoid beasts and launched sneak attacks from time to time. His target was very simple: the heads of the metal humanoid beasts. He had a giant hammer in his hand. Every time he found an opening, he would smash the metal humanoid beast's head. If he was lucky, the metal humanoid beast's head would be smashed off. Tiger Love was very satisfied, especially when he smashed the metal humanoid beast's head with his hammer. He almost never missed. Of course, if it was a frontal attack, it would not be effective. However, if the metal humanoid beasts were dealing with the silver-level humanoid beasts, he would suddenly appear from behind or from the side. The metal humanoid beasts would not be able to block him at all. Chapter 372. On the other hand, Lei Xingfeng's attacks were much sharper. When he realized that the Chaos Wheel had become abnormally powerful, he chose to face it head-on. He shot out lightning bolts, followed by the Chaos Wheel's wild slashes. The rhythm was quite tight. A single lightning bolt could freeze the steel doll for a few seconds or even a dozen seconds. Then came the Chaos Wheel's attack, which basically shattered it with one hit. It could even kill 2 or 3 steel dolls with one hit. Under the storm-like attacks, the number of steel dolls decreased rapidly. In just a few minutes, all the steel dolls that could move had been destroyed. Only 4 metal spiders were still fighting. Lei Xingfeng and the others retreated and watched as the silver and gold dolls worked together to deal with the metal spiders. Lei Xingfeng took out a short-handled, single-edged axe and took a few steps forward. With a whistle, a silver doll retreated and quickly walked to Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng handed the short-handled, single-edged axe to the silver dolls and said, "There's one more that doesn't have a weapon. Send it over." 3 gold dolls were dealing with 4 metal spiders. Due to the gold dolls' incredible speed, the metal spiders couldn't hit them at all. However, the gold dolls also couldn't hurt their opponents. The metal spiders' 8 thick metal legs were too sturdy. Even with the giant axe, the gold dolls could only leave scratches. They couldn't stop the metal spiders. Lei Xingfeng immediately stepped forward to give orders. After all, regardless of whether it was the gold dolls or silver dolls, their strength was unquestionable. However, their intelligence was questionable. It was easy to deal with simple enemies, but difficult to deal with slightly more complicated situations. Lei Xingfeng shouted, and the 36 silver dolls quickly split into 3 small teams to deal with the 3 metal spiders. Lei Xingfeng didn't ask for much. He only needed to tie down the 3 metal spiders. He didn't need them to kill the metal spiders. The remaining metal spider was Lei Xingfeng's target. He shot out a bolt of lightning and froze the metal spider in place. Although it was only for a few seconds, it was enough for the gold-level puppet to fly up. The 3 gold-level puppets had no problem cutting open the back of the metal spider. After a series of crackling sounds, the spinning metal spider came to a complete stop. After a short while, Lei Xingfeng finished off the remaining 3 metal dolls according to his plan. Jean Dias said, "It's really dangerous. If the 3 of us had barged in, we probably wouldn't have been able to go any further." Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "Yes, the guards here are very strong. There should be some good stuff here." He kept the damaged metal spiders. As for the shattered metal dolls, he didn't care. He also kept the metal dolls leaning against the wall and the metal spiders that had lost their energy into his hidden Lun space. These were all his gains. He wouldn't throw them away no matter what. The 3 metal spiders had only lost their energy. They were basically unharmed. As for the metal spider that had its back cut open, Lei Xingfeng was confident that he could repair it. After all, it was only the back that was damaged and not completely destroyed. Lei Xingfeng waved his hand and said, "This place is very big. Everyone spread out and check it out." With over 10,000 square meters of space and a large number of metal boxes piled up, it was impossible to see the entire space clearly. Of course, there were still many metal boxes that hadn't been checked yet. They didn't know if there was anything inside. The 3 of them spread out, each taking care of a direction. Although it was over 10,000 square meters, if they ran quickly, they could still check it out quickly. In just a few minutes, the 3 of them gathered together. There was a secret door in front of them. It was just that this secret door was closed and hadn't been activated. However, they had seen many secret doors. With just a glance, they knew that this was definitely a secret door and not a door frame. The 3 of them couldn't help but look at each other. After a while, Lei Xingfeng said, "What does this mean?" "We entered the avocado swamp, then passed through a strange mirror and entered here. This is already the 3rd world. Where does this secret door lead to?" Jean Dias said, "There's an important question. How do we activate this secret door?" Tiger Love also said worriedly, "Yes, I feel that this secret door must contain a big secret." Lei Xingfeng's eyes kept darting around. He was a little hesitant and a little excited. After a while, he said, "Why don't I give it a try?" Jean Dias said, "How?" Tiger Love said, "Why don't we go back and ask a monarch expert to come?" Lei Xingfeng shook his head and said, "There's only Junior Master Feng Qinzong at home. Grandmaster and Master have both left. We don't know when they'll be back, so we don't have anyone to rely on." Jean Dia smiled bitterly. "That's troublesome." Lei Xingfeng stared at the secret door for a long time without saying a word. He knew that to open the secret door, other than the Yin Ring, one also needed the strength of a monarch. With his current strength, even a peak 9th ring wouldn't be enough to open the door. He didn't know what was behind the secret door or where it led to, but Lei Xingfeng knew very well that this secret door was the key. Tiger Love sighed and said, "Looking at this secret door, I feel that the mystery here can be solved. What a pity, what a pity." Lei Xingfeng touched the secret door unwillingly and carefully observed it. Suddenly, he saw a groove and said, "This shape, I'm very familiar with it. It's... He didn't react for a moment. He felt that there was something in his mind, but he couldn't express it. He anxiously stared at it. Jean Dia said, "This shouldn't be the groove for the Yin Ring." This sentence woke Lei Xingfeng up. He slapped his head and said, "Damn it, my brain has been damaged recently. It's not brain matter, it's paste. This groove is too similar to the Sky Divination Crystal." As he spoke, he took out the Sky Divination Crystal and put it in. Jean Dia wanted to stop him, but it was too late. He shouted, "Don't." Lei Xingfeng was shocked by his shout. His hand trembled and the Sky Divination Crystal was inserted into the groove. Lei Xingfeng was also dumbfounded. He only wanted to make a gesture, but he didn't expect it to go in just like that. Crack! The Sky Divination Crystal was inserted into the groove, and in an instant, it emitted a dazzling light. In an instant, the secret door rippled with a screen of light. This meant that the secret door had been opened. Everyone was stunned, including Lei Xingfeng. He said in surprise and joy, "Damn it, this works too? It's F asterisk king open just like that? Ha ha ha. Jean Daya and Tiger Love looked at each other and couldn't help but shake their heads. This was too miraculous. They thought that it couldn't be opened, but they didn't expect that a sky divination crystal would be able to open this secret door. Everyone knew that there were countless worlds behind the secret door. Who knew where it would lead to unless someone could locate it? However, only a monarch could do that, and Lei Xingfeng and the other two didn't have that ability. After hesitating for a moment, Jean Daya said, "Should I go and try?" Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. "How do we get back?" Jean Daya shook his head helplessly. "I don't know, but I really don't want to give up." Tiger Love said, "Should we let the silver puppet beast go in and scout the way?" Jean Daya said, "It's no use. The key isn't what's behind the door. It's that we don't have a way to control this secret door, even if it's already opened." Tiger Love gritted his teeth. "Giving up is impossible. I'll go in." Without waiting for Lei Xingfeng and Jean Daya to stop him, Tiger Love crashed into the door. Bang! Tiger Love retreated continuously. It was as if he had crashed into a soft wall. A huge force bounced him back. After retreating 5 or 6 steps, Tiger Love was dumbfounded. Jean Daya looked at Tiger Love in disbelief. He also rushed towards the secret door. As expected, he was also bounced back. He couldn't help but shout, "How is this possible?" They couldn't enter the secret door. Lei Xingfeng was also dumbfounded. He smiled bitterly. "All right, since we can't enter, then forget it." As he spoke, he tried to dig out the sky evolution crystal embedded in the door. Who knew that after 2 attempts, the sky evolution crystal wouldn't budge at all? Instantly, Lei Xingfeng's expression changed. If he couldn't get it back, he would suffer a huge loss. Even all the gains this time couldn't compare to this sky evolution crystal. Lei Xingfeng said, "Oh no, I can't F asterisk king take it out." Jean Daya and Tiger Love looked closer. Their expressions also changed. They both knew how precious the sky evolution crystal was. Jean Daya said, "What should we do?" Lei Xingfeng gritted his teeth. "If there's no other way, I'll F asterisk king destroy this secret door." In fact, Lei Xingfeng knew that he didn't have the ability to destroy the secret door. One had to know that the secret door had spatial attributes. It was very difficult to attack it. With his current strength, it was impossible for him to damage the secret door at all. Tiger Love said, "Why can't you take it out?" Jean Daya guessed, "Unless you completely control this secret door, you might not be able to take it out." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. He couldn't dig out the sky evolution crystal even after using all his strength. He took out a dagger and tried to pry it out, but it still didn't budge. He was sweating profusely. He couldn't hide the disappointment on his face. F asterisk CK. Xian Feng's leg flew up and kicked the door, but this kick didn't break the door frame. Instead, it landed on the light screen inside the door frame. At that moment, a shocking scene appeared. His leg actually passed through the light screen. Due to his anger, Xian Feng's kick missed, causing him to lose his balance and fall towards the light screen inside the doorframe. Aya, Jean Daya, and Tiger Love reached out at the same time. However, things happened too suddenly. The two of them watched as Lei Xingfeng disappeared into the secret door. Lei Xingfeng did go over, but the black bird on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder didn't. It was blocked by the light screen and was directly sent flying. It was the one that cried out. One had to know that its head was hidden in its wings. The moment it was sent flying by the light screen, it let out a scream. Flipping over on the ground, the black bird was confused. Caw! Who? Who hit the bird? Caw! It struggled to flip over and jump on the ground a few times. Only then did the black bird wake up slightly. It asked, "Where is he? Where did he go?" Caw! Spreading its wings, the black bird hovered 1 meter in front of Jean Daya. It flapped its wings quickly and said, "Where is he? Where did he go?" Jean Daya said unhappily, "I'm not human." Chapter 373. The black bird said, You're not the person I want. Where is he? Where did he go?" It flew around Jean Daya and Tiger Love twice, but did not see Lei Xingfeng. It was so anxious that it quacked. Jean Daya was anxious But after all, he was not an ordinary person. He said, "Tiger, we're in trouble this time. What should we do?" Tiger Love smiled bitterly and said, "Wait, what else can we do?" The blackbird shouted, "Hey, where is he?" It was so angry that it waited for an answer. Jean Dia pointed to the secret door and said, "If you're looking for a phone, I'm telling you, he went in. Don't call anymore." The blackbird did not say anything and crashed into the light curtain. Then, Jean Dia and Sherhu saw the blackbird bounced off the screen like it had hit a trampoline. The speed at which the blackbird hit the screen was the same as the speed at which it was bounced off. A black shadow flashed, and the blackbird hit a large metal box. With a bang, the blackbird slid off the top of the box. The blackbird felt stars in front of its eyes. It said, "Nonsense, stars, stars, quack." Then it walked a few steps and said, "What's going on? This bird's head is so dizzy." Jean Dia and Tiger Love did not look at the blackbird. The two of them looked at each other and felt a little at a loss. What made the two of them feel bad was that Lei Xingfeng's 36 silver-level puppets and 3 gold-level puppets were all left here because he did not have time to take them back. These puppets were still standing guard around. In other words, Lei Xingfeng had no guard around him. Tiger Love said, "We have to go back and find an expert. Maybe they can save a phone." Jean Dia said, "I'll stay here and guard. You go back." Tiger Love smiled bitterly and said, "All right, Fatty is still outside. Let him come in." Jean Dia said, "All right, bring him down." Moments later, Tiger Love brought Jean Depang to the bottom floor. Jean Depang said, "Is this the secret door?" He reached out and touched it. "Sure enough, I can't get in." Tiger Love said, "Fatty, you stay here with old Jean. I'll go back and look for him." Lei Xingfeng looked at this space in surprise. This was a white space, a very strange space. It was like a space opened up in the clouds. There was a thick white fog all around, and a secret door was suspended in the middle. He came out from this secret door. Heaving a sigh of relief, Lei Xingfeng wandered around. He found that the white mist was like glue. The deeper he went, the greater the resistance. Soon, he was unable to move forward and had to return to the space. After searching carefully for a while, Lei Xingfeng didn't find anything. Other than this strange, secret door, there was nothing else. Just as Lei Xingfeng was about to leave, another accident happened. He couldn't get out. The light screen on the secret door actually bounced back Lei Xingfeng. After several failed attempts, Lei Xingfeng's heart began to tremble. What a joke. This was a sealed space. If he couldn't get out, he would be completely trapped inside. Lei Xingfeng frantically attacked the secret door, trying to open it. However, no matter what method he used, he still couldn't open it. Lei Xingfeng was completely dumbfounded as he sat down next to the secret door. All around him was a vast expanse of white. This space was very strange. The secret door was a square frame suspended in midair. A light screen filled the entire frame of the door. Lei Xingfeng understood that this was the sign that the secret door was open. But why couldn't he pass through? Lei Xingfeng was certain that apart from this secret door, there was no other way out. He even believed that even if he had the ability to break through this space's seal, the result would be even worse. He didn't know what this vast expanse of white mist was, but he knew that it was the key to protecting this space. Once it was broken, who knew what was outside? Sitting in front of the secret door, Lei Xingfeng stared at it. His mind was racing. He couldn't imagine this result. Was he going to be trapped here forever? He couldn't help but smile bitterly. This time he had played it big. At this moment, Lei Xingfeng saw a groove on the secret door. His heart suddenly moved. When he was outside, the heaven divination crystal was embedded in that groove. Could it be that this secret door was bidirectional? One needed to use a heaven divination crystal on the outside, and the other needed to use a heaven divination crystal on the inside? Immediately, Lei Xingfeng became excited. He thought that he had figured out this secret. The only thing that made his heart ache was that he had lost 2 heaven divination crystals. This was a huge loss. If he couldn't take out the heaven divination crystal on the outside, he probably wouldn't be able to take this one out either. However, if he could use a heaven divination crystal to escape, it was still worth it. It was much better than being trapped in this strange space. Lei Xingfeng gritted his teeth and took out a heaven divination crystal. After a moment of hesitation, he inserted it into the secret door. Instantly, his vision turned black. The entire space was squeezed and contracted. Lei Xingfeng couldn't react at all. He felt his body tighten, and then he completely lost consciousness. Tiger Love hadn't left yet. He saw the secret door suddenly disappear without a trace. It was as if it had completely melted. He stared blankly as the secret door disappeared. He cried out in shock, "Heavens!" This secret door was related to Lei Xingfeng's life and death. It actually disappeared just like that. Jean Dia and Jean Depan were also completely dumbfounded. Jean Dia even walked to the original position of the secret door. After a while, he said with a bitter face, "This is big trouble. What should we do?" Tiger Love was at a loss. He said, "I don't know either." At this moment, a figure appeared at the original position of the secret door. It gradually became clearer. Jean Depan yelled, It's a phone." The three people and one bird stared dumbfoundedly. They saw Lei Xingfeng's figure become more and more solid. At first, it was a little distorted, as if it was formed by light. However, as time passed, it gradually solidified and became more and more solid. Tiger Love was about to step forward, but Jean Dia pulled him back. He said, "Wait, don't move." Lei Xingfeng's body gradually became clearer and clearer. At first, it was still very illusory and didn't look like a real person. However, in just 10 minutes, it gradually formed flesh and blood essence and a solid body. Jean Dia and the other two waited patiently for half an hour. Then, they saw Lei Xingfeng open his eyes. The first thing he said was, "Damn, I was bored to death. I'm out." Then they saw Lei Xingfeng jump up and then heard him laugh wildly. "Ha ha, ha ha ha, ha, damn, I made a fortune. Ha ha ha." Looking at the crazy Lei Xingfeng, the three people were stunned. After a while, Jean Depan said, "A phone is crazy? A phone crazy?" Jean Dia said, "That seems a little crazy." Tiger Love rolled his eyes and said, "How is he crazy? He just laughed a little too loudly. Seems a little crazy." Lei Xingfeng danced and laughed wildly. After venting for a few minutes, he finally stopped. Then he closed his eyes and stood still, as if he was thinking about something. Jean Dia and the other two people didn't dare to breathe loudly. They all stared at Lei Xingfeng, afraid that he would continue to laugh wildly. "Ha! Ha ha ha!" Lei Xingfeng suddenly burst into a series of laughter. Everyone couldn't help but laugh, but the three people were confused. They didn't know what Lei Xingfeng was laughing about or why he was laughing so crazily. Blackbird said, "Boss is definitely crazy." Lei Xingfeng finally stopped and said, "I've made a lot of money." Blackbird flapped his wings and circled above Lei Xingfeng's head, then landed on his shoulder and said, "Crazy? Ah, no, a phone. No, uncle, a phone, what did you make?" Lei Xingfeng said, "You won't know even if I tell you. You're a bird. It's enough that you can talk. As for thinking, isn't it too difficult for you?" Blackbird shouted, You look down on people." Lei Xingfeng said lightly, "You're not human." Blackbird said with grief and indignation, You look down on birds." Lei Xingfeng nodded with a smile and said, "You're right, haha." He was so happy that he didn't mind bickering with a blackbird. Blackbird found that something was wrong and immediately shut up. It now knew that no matter if Lei Xingfeng was unhappy or happy, it shouldn't talk to him. It was defeated and dejected. Jean Dia carefully asked, "A phone, what's going on?" Tiger Love said, "Yeah, why are you so happy?" Jean Dia said, "Did you find something delicious? Did you find a new ingredient?" For him, only when he found a peerless ingredient would he be so happy. Lei Xingfeng said disdainfully, "You're a foodie, but I'm not. Hee hee, I made a lot of money this time. I got a very heaven-defying thing, ha ha." He burst into laughter again. Jean Dia and the other two were speechless. It was the first time they saw Lei Xingfeng lose his composure. Moreover, this guy's laughter was really too nasty. Lei Xingfeng laughed for a long time before he realized that the three of them were looking at him with a straight face. He suddenly felt embarrassed. He touched his nose and said, "Why are you guys so unhappy?" Jean Dia said helplessly, "You have to let us know what you got. Why are you so happy? If we don't know, why are we laughing?" Tiger Love and Jean Dia nodded repeatedly. Tiger Love said, "A phone. What are you so happy about?" Lei Xingfeng couldn't hide the smile on his face. He said, "I got a mirror realm, haha." He couldn't help but laugh again. Jean Dia hurriedly raised his hand and said, Don't laugh. What's a mirror realm? What's that?" Lei Xingfeng was very patient this time. He said, "Do you know about our secret treasure space?" Jean Dia, Tiger Love, and Jean Dia nodded together. Everyone knew about the secret treasure space. It was the best place to build a secret door. It was a fixed space that could hide many people and items without being disturbed by the outside world. Lei Xingfeng said, "If the secret treasure space is a fixed space and the best place to build a secret door, then the mirror realm is a moving secret treasure space. The one we entered at the beginning was the mirror realm. It was revealed in the avocado swamp because its energy was exhausted. That mirror realm is the entrance. Once the mirror realm is controlled by someone, the entrance will disappear." Chapter 374. This mirror realm that can move according to the owner is actually not very big. It is much smaller than the secret treasure space. Even so, it is still a very big world. This mirror realm is completely under my control. That is why I'm so happy. Lei Xingfeng continued. This mirror realm has been passed down since ancient times. Its history should be even longer than the outer realm. As for the steel humanoid beast, I have also mastered its production method. We have seen the steel humanoid beast and the giant metal spider. These are just two types. There are a few more types, including the snake-shaped puppet used for reconnaissance. There are also explosive puppets for long-range attacks. They can shoot arrows and steel spears. That is not all. There are also explosive puppets for energy attacks. They can shoot fireballs and rays. Jean Dia and the other two were so shocked that they could not close their mouths. Lei Xingfeng smiled. The mirror realm can also automatically absorb energy. Of course, it must be activated to enter this mode. The reason why the mirror realm stopped operating completely was because the activation energy was exhausted. Moreover, the owner of the mirror realm died. That is why the scene we see now appeared. Tiger Love asked, "What will happen if there is energy?" Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. "If there is energy here, we will not be able to move an inch. Of course, it will be even more impossible to enter this place. If there is energy here, this short tower will sink directly into the ground and will not appear at all. In this world, the owner is the real controller. Even if a perfected lord, heavenly lord, or even a Tao lord enters, they will not be a threat to me. Even if I cannot defeat them, I can easily drive them out of the mirror realm." Jean Dia asked curiously, "If you want, well, I mean if you die, will the mirror realm appear?" Lei Xingfeng shook his head. "The mirror realm has already obtained the activation energy. Even if I die, the mirror realm can still operate on its own. Unless the energy is exhausted, it will not appear for at least 100 years. It might even take 1,000 years. Activating the mirror realm and obtaining it cost Lei Xingfeng 2 sky evolution crystals. Although it pained him, it was nothing compared to obtaining the mirror realm. This was a huge gain. Lei Xingfeng said, "The mirror realm is still recovering. Since it has been stagnant for too long, I need to cultivate it." Jean Dia asked curiously how. Lei Xingfeng shook his head. "It will take some time for me to fully understand the mirror realm. There is no need to explore this place. Realm. Everything is under my control, including the steel, humanoid beast, and metal spiders." Jean Dia, Tiger Love, and Jean Depeng finally understood why Lei Xingfeng was laughing like crazy when he came out. Even they would lose their composure if they saw this gain. This was an active base. It could carry all the people and equipment. Moreover, it could obtain an unlimited amount of food as long as there was someone to grow it. Of course, Lei Xingfeng's safety was guaranteed. If he died, then the people of this world would be finished. Even if it could survive for a few generations, once the energy was exhausted, this world would completely decline. Thinking back to when they first entered this world, the whole world was dead. Everything had turned to ashes. It was clear that this world relied on its master to survive. Jean Dias said, "It doesn't matter if I go in, but I definitely won't settle down here. This thing is a bit scary." Tiger Love and Jean Depeng also understood what the Mirror Realm was. The two of them nodded repeatedly. Entrusting an entire world to one person's life was too risky. Jean Dias said, "Can the Mirror Realm be passed down?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "It can be passed down, but the requirements are very high. I still haven't fully grasped the mysteries of the Mirror Realm. I still need time to understand it bit by bit. For now, I can't talk about passing it down." Jean Depeng said, Where do we get out?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. "It's easy to get out. Everyone, wait a moment." Saying so, he waved his hand. Suddenly, a silver light flashed. Jean Dia only saw a flash of light in front of his eyes. His body floated up and down. This time was very short, almost less than a second. The surrounding environment had completely changed. Jean Depeng sighed. "Holy shit, we're out just like that." Lei Xingfeng smiled. "In here, any action can be done with a single thought." Jean Dia couldn't help but exclaim, "Wow, that's amazing." They were right next to the steel wall. Lei Xingfeng raised his hand and released the steel dolls and metal spiders he collected. He said, "Go back, the order has been given." The steel dolls and metal spiders immediately ran off into the distance. Tiger Love couldn't help but ask, "Why did you let them go?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. "They went back to their nest. There's an automatic recovery mechanism there. It's not too bad. After the energy is activated, everything will gradually recover. Look outside, whether it's the trees or the weeds, they're all growing back. Of course, the Mirror Realm still needs a lot of time to recover. I still need to collect more resources. Some of the resources here have already been used up. For the Mirror Realm, once it stopped absorbing energy from the outside world, it would gradually decline. The rate of decline was much faster than a normal world. Moreover, the remaining energy would be tilted toward the steel dolls. In other words, these mechanical dolls would be able to obtain energy. This was the real reason why they could maintain a certain level of combat power and not completely decay. Once the Mirror Realm obtained an energy source and had an owner, the entire Mirror Realm could operate and begin to absorb a large amount of energy from the outside world. Due to the earliest settings, the entire Mirror Realm could be restored. Although it would take time, it would change sooner or later. Xi and Feng placed the silver and gold ranked mannequins in the mirror world. With his identity as the master, he could easily connect these mannequins to the mirror world. Very quickly, these mannequins were connected to the mirror world. This was a very powerful force that wouldn't affect his usage in the outside world. Jean Dia asked, "How do we get out?" His question was the same as Jean Depeng's, which was how to leave the Mirror Realm. Lei Xingfeng smiled. "The Mirror Realm's passage to the outside world has been closed. After we came in, other people came in as well. There were 2 of them in total, and they were running around in circles inside the Mirror Realm. When I took control of the Mirror Realm, I knew of their existence, so I threw them out. They're no longer in the Mirror Realm." Jean Dia was startled. Someone already came in?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. "Of course, I wouldn't let them run around in there. Those 2 guys are probably still confused, not knowing why they were thrown out." Jean Dia and the others laughed, secretly amazed at how powerful the Mirror Realm's control was. Lei Xingfeng said, "Let's go out." The reason why so many people came to the avocado swamp this time must have something to do with the Mirror Realm. I didn't expect it to be so convenient for us. However, this also makes us the target of public criticism. If they suspect that we have the Mirror Realm, it will be very troublesome." Jean Dia nodded. "Maybe there are already many people outside. Should we wait for a while before going out?" Tiger Love objected. "That's not good, because if we drive out 2 ninth ring sages, they will definitely spread the news. At that time, it won't be just ordinary people waiting outside. There will be a large number of experts waiting outside. Lei Xingfeng nodded in agreement. That makes sense. Unfortunately, we can't go elsewhere this time. Hee, you should know that the mirror realm has a secret door. I can be considered a person who has a secret door before becoming a monarch. Jean Depeng curiously asked, if you become a monarch, what will happen to the secret door? Xian Feng spoke. I already know that. I just need to fuse them. I'll have a moving secret door, but the fixed door will fuse with a mirror dimension secret door and become one. At that time, I'll truly obtain the inheritance of the mirror dimension. Perhaps I'll be able to obtain quite a few ancient inheritances. Jean Dia was overjoyed. That's a scary harvest. If that's the case, your strength should increase a lot, right? Lei Xingfeng nodded. Yes, it should increase a lot. I have this feeling now because the mirror realm has fused with me. Although I can only control the mirror realm at the moment, I can already borrow a little of its power. One of its biggest uses is to protect myself. I haven't tried it, but I know that this protective power is completely different from using Lei Yin's power. Jean Dia couldn't help but shake his head. Is there such a good thing? Sigh, your luck is simply heaven-defying. Lei Xingfeng sometimes doubted that his luck was indeed heaven-defying. If he came to the mirror realm this time, even if he reached the secret door, he wouldn't be able to enter without the sky divination crystal. If he didn't have a second sky divination crystal, then he would be completely trapped and unable to control this extremely precious mirror realm. He smiled. Maybe luck is better than no luck. I really enjoy this kind of luck. Jean Dia and the other two laughed. Xian Feng's luck was their luck. If Xian Feng was strong, they would be strong. If Xian Feng was weak, they would be weak. This was without a doubt. No one wished for Xian Feng's strength to be weak. If Xian Feng's strength was weak, then they would be in trouble. Hidden sects were all about loyalty. There were very few people in the hidden sects who betrayed. This was the common understanding of all hidden sects members. Of course, nothing was absolute. There were very few people who would betray the secret doors. It wasn't because of benefits, but because of the choice between life and death. Therefore, choosing a secret door was a very dangerous thing. Lei Xingfeng once met the secret door's ancestor. He killed his subordinate with a slap without any guilt or hesitation. Jean Depeng said, I hope we can leave quietly when we get out. He couldn't help but pray that there was no one outside. His strength wasn't suitable for fighting. There were too many experts. He wouldn't be able to take a single hit. Chapter 375. Lei Xingfeng chuckled. What are you worried about? You don't have to worry at all. You just need to stay here. I'll bring Uncle Jean and Uncle Tiger out. Before, we couldn't store people in a hidden space, but now it's different. The mirror realm can store a lot of people. Jean Dia asked, how many people can it store? Is there a limit? Lei Xingfeng nodded. There is a limit. Right now, it can only store about 100 people. Any more, and it will consume a lot of energy. It's not worth it. Actually, I don't need 100 people. I'll be satisfied if a few dozen people can enter. Jean Depeng was happy. Is that so? Then I'll stay here. I'll build a house here first. A kitchen and a big wooden shed. Lei Xingfeng said, when we go back, you'll have to come out. Jean Depeng was puzzled. Why? Lei Xingfeng gave a simple explanation. Because I've just gained control of the mirror realm. If someone stays inside, it will consume some energy. I need to save energy, so I won't leave anyone inside unless it's absolutely necessary. Everything will have to wait until I advance. Jean Depeng smiled bitterly and muttered, Sigh, I can't even stay here if I want to. Forget it. I'd be happier at home. I've wasted so much of my mealtime by coming out. I'll never come out again. Lei Xingfeng said, this glutton. Jean Dia's face also darkened. Jean Depeng was his junior, and this junior made him feel embarrassed. In fact, he knew why Jean Depeng wanted to stay. It wasn't because there was something good here. The conditions here were far worse than Lei Xingfeng's home. But in the mirror realm, he could follow Lei Xingfeng and obtain countless strange ingredients. In the end, this guy still liked to eat. Tiger Love said, it's not the first time you know he's a glutton. You knew it when you first met. The story of the meeting between Lei Xingfeng and Jean Depang had been circulating for a long time, so everyone knew how the two met. Jean Dia glared fiercely at Jean Depang and said, "You'd better cultivate well. Damn it, with such good resources and conditions, all you think about is eating. One day you'll die from eating." Jean Depang's face immediately turned bitter as he looked at Lei Xingfeng with a pitiful expression. Lei Xingfeng said, "Uncle Jean, everyone has their own ambitions. Since he likes it, just do it. He's already an adult. It's fine as long as he's happy." Jean Dia sighed and stopped trying to persuade Tung Yuan. In fact, he had tried many times, including scolding and cursing, but it was to no avail. Jean Depang was a yes-man in front of Tung Yuan, not daring to refute him at all. After that, he would continue to do what he was supposed to do. He and Tung Yuan continued to cook all kinds of delicacies. Lei Xingfeng said, "Is everything ready? We're ready to go out. Fatty, you stay here this time. When I get to a safe place, I'll teleport you out. By the way, Bud, you stay here too." "I don't know what's going on outside." The blackbird was a little reluctant. Tiger Love said, "If I accidentally hurt you, haha, it'll be troublesome." Lei Xingfeng said, "Come down. When we get to a safe place, I'll let you out." The blackbird said, "Okay, but don't leave me inside. There's nothing to eat here. Remember, there's nothing to eat here. I'll starve to death." As it spoke, it also helped Lei Xingfeng comb his hair. This was its best flattery. Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "Don't worry." The blackbird reluctantly flapped its wings and flew up. It circled Lei Xingfeng's head a few times, cawed twice, and flew away. As long as the blackbird was in the mirror realm, Lei Xingfeng could teleport it out at any time. In other words, Lei Xingfeng could teleport it out at any time. No matter where it went, as long as it was in the mirror realm, it would be impossible to not find it. Lei Xingfeng had a strange feeling. In the entire mirror realm, he was a god. He could do whatever he wanted. Of course, it was just a feeling. He couldn't really do it. The mirror realm also needed to be cultivated and accepted. At present, he could only control a part of it, but this part was already a great harvest. Jean Depang set up a big table and began to take out all kinds of food from his hidden lens space. Tiger Love asked curiously, "Fatty, what are you doing?" "We're about to leave." Jean Depang took out another recliner and slowly laid down with his huge body. He didn't dare to use too much strength, for fear that he would collapse the recliner. He giggled and said, "I know, this isn't for you guys to eat. Now that you're all gone, I can take a break and eat something while I'm at it." Tiger Love was speechless. He said, "Okay, you eat, he." Lei Xingfeng looked at Jean Depang and said, "Prepare for battle." As he spoke, he clasped his hands together and made a very strange sound. He suddenly pulled his hands apart, and there was a cracking sound. In the blink of an eye, the three of them were dazzled. Someone came out. This was the first thing Lei Xingfeng heard when he came out. 6 silver puppets surrounded the 3 people. Lei Xingfeng, Jean Dia, and Tiger Love were on guard. There's not just one person around, but a large group of people. The entire mountain, including the cliff, was filled with people. Lei Xingfeng calculated that there were at least 30 people, most of whom were 9th ring sages. Lei Xingfeng knew that there must be experts above monarch level here. 7 or 8 9th ring sages flew into the sky and stared at the 3 people in a suppressive manner. Then people surrounded them from all directions. Xi and Feng could feel the smell of gunpowder, as well as an extreme threat. He casually took out another gold puppet and stood at the foot of the mountain. There were 7 gold puppets in total, one of which was protecting the 3 people. They watched as the people surrounded them. Jean Dia said, "As expected." Tiger Love laughed. "Scared?" Hee. Jean Dia laughed disdainfully. "Me? Scared? What's there to be scared of?" He knew that there were so many gold puppets, and Lei Xingfeng even had steel puppets. When gathered together, their strength was quite frightening. They might not be able to deal with monarchs, but they were more than enough to deal with 9th ring sages. Lei Xingfeng was even more fearless now. He now had the mirror realm. Not only could it provide him with a layer of protection, but he could also hide in it if things went south. With a mirror realm that could attack and defend freely, he was invincible. A young man, surrounded by a group of ninth ring sages, flew down from the sky and landed in front of Lei Xingfeng. He glanced at the gold puppets and said, "There are even gold puppets from the forbidden area. Not bad, not bad. Hee, but they're useless against me, even if they're gold puppets." Lei Xingfeng's heart skipped a beat. He already felt extreme threat. This was not the aura of a monarch, but the aura of a heavenly lord. Just then, a person appeared and said, "Master, this gold puppet is not to be underestimated." Tiger Love was shocked. Hua Chung, perfected lord. This was the monarch they met in the avocado swamp. Lei Xingfeng's gold puppets had beaten him up. They did not expect this guy's master come. This made Lei Xingfeng, Jean Dia, and Tiger Love certain that this person was a heavenly lord. Lei Xingfeng signaled Jean Dia and Tiger Love to come closer. Then he said, "Hua Chung, perfected lord, what do you want?" As he spoke, he quickly released the other 2 gold puppets and 30 silver puppets. He had no choice. The enemy was too strong. He had no choice but to use his trump card. If he still couldn't win, he would have to retreat into the mirror world. With regards to battles, Feng wasn't very passionate about them due to his memories from his previous life, but he understood that in this world, if you weren't strong enough, then you wouldn't be responsible for your own life. He had no choice but to do his best to strengthen himself. Huacheng, perfected lord, was beaten up badly by the gold puppets. When he saw Lei Xingfeng again, he could not help but grit his teeth. However, when he saw Lei Xingfeng release so many gold puppets, he was also shocked. What a joke. 3 gold puppets could definitely kill him. He said, "Master." The young man smiled and waved his hand. "Don't worry. 3 gold puppets can't touch me." Hua Chang, perfected lord's mouth twitched, but he eventually closed it. He wanted to remind his master again because he had experienced the ferocity of the gold-level puppets. One of the characteristics of the gold-level puppets was that when they weren't moving, you wouldn't know how perverted they were. But it was clear that his master didn't care at all. Lei Xingfeng stood calmly. Jean Dia and Tiger Love were completely different. Their faces were pale and their bodies were shaking. The opponent's aura directly suppressed them without any modesty. Only Lei Xingfeng looked calm. If he took off his clothes, he would be able to see that his body was emitting a faint fluorescent light. That was the protection of the mirror realm. It directly blocked the opponent's aura. The Sky Monarch's eyes showed a trace of surprise. It was not easy to block his aura. Even if a perfected lord stood in Lei Xingfeng's position, he would also have to bow. However, the little guy actually straightened his back. He was not afraid at all and was not affected by the invisible pressure. This was interesting. "You got the mirror realm?" Lei Xingfeng said. "I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of the mirror realm." Mirror realm, mirror realm, mirror land, ancient mirror realm. These were the names of the mirror realms Lei Xingfeng had obtained. Of course, Lei Xingfeng did not have to admit it. Even if the opponent knew that he had it, he would not admit it. This was very important. The man said lightly, "I'm Di Duo Jian." Hua Chung, perfected lord, said, "Why don't you call me senior? My master is the Sky Monarch." Lei Xingfeng was dumbfounded. This was the first time he saw a perfected lord showing off his master to a ninth ring sage. Perhaps it was because he had been beaten up by the gold puppets. He unconsciously began to want to suppress Lei Xingfeng. Di Duo Jian narrowed his eyes and glanced at Hua Chung, perfected lord. The pressure suddenly pressed on him, causing him to retreat in fear. He was surprised and could not understand why this disciple would say that. It was as if he was eager to prove something. He did not know that Hua Chung, perfected lord, had been beaten up. Chapter 376. He said, "It doesn't matter what you call me. I'm just asking you, did you get the mirror realm?" Lei Xingfeng's expression didn't change. He said, "No, I don't know what the mirror realm is." Di Duo Jian's face darkened. He said, "Which secret sect are you from?" As a senior, he was indeed qualified to ask about Lei Xingfeng's secret sect. Lei Xingfeng said, "Sorry, I don't want to know you. We have other things to do. Goodbye." He didn't want to continue to entangle with him, but he knew very well that it would be difficult to be kind this time. 36 silver puppets surrounded the three of them tightly, and 3 gold puppets in front of Lei Xingfeng. Therefore, even if Di Duo Jian wanted to attack, it would be difficult for him to succeed. Watching Jinjuan said, "You can't go." Lei Xingfeng said, "You want to fight?" Di Duo Jian didn't expect a 9th ring sage to be so tough. He said, "You can't use the mirror realm." "Well, I'll exchange it with something. How about it?" Since he couldn't threaten him, he tried to lure him. Of course, he hoped that Xian Feng would agree, but he didn't know if Xian Feng had obtained the mirror world. The reason why he didn't attack was that he saw so many puppets. It was not that he was afraid of them, but that Lei Xingfeng had so many gold and silver puppets, which meant that Lei Xingfeng's sect was very powerful. At the same time, it also showed that Lei Xingfeng's status was very high. Even if he was a Lord of Heaven, he didn't dare to attack recklessly. Secondly, Lei Xingfeng was only a 9th ring sage. Di Duo Jian didn't believe that Lei Xingfeng could get the mirror realm. Even he might not be able to get the mirror realm smoothly. This was the reason why he insisted on asking. After Lei Xingfeng firmly refused, Di Duo Jian's heart wavered a little. Therefore, he used the temptation to test whether Lei Xingfeng had the mirror realm or not. Jin Daya and Shihu looked at each other, and there was a trace of worry in their eyes. Even if the other party was only a heaven monarch, it was still too much of a threat to them. Even the gold-class puppet beasts would have a hard time fighting with a heaven monarch. If Di Duo Jian was a high-level heaven monarch like the ancestor, heaven monarch Wu Yang, the 3 gold-class puppet beasts wouldn't be able to hold him off for long. If he was a beginner heaven monarch, then there was still some hope. Lei Xingfeng couldn't immediately take Jin Daya and Tiger Love back to the mirror realm. If he entered at this time, it meant that he would still be here when he came out. Unless he was promoted to a supreme, he could use the secret door. At that time, he could go anywhere and directly get rid of the opponent. Therefore, Lei Xingfeng was a little anxious. The opponent was too strong. If there were a few supreme, he wouldn't be afraid. However, he was a Lord of Heaven who was 2 levels higher than him. He was a little helpless. The most terrible thing was that he couldn't summon Wu Yang to save his life. Master and Ancestor had already left the secret door. Now, he didn't even know where they were. When they first appeared here, it could be said that they had entered from the outside. Even if this explanation was a little forced, it was still an explanation. However, if Jin Daya, Shihu, and the group of puppets were sucked into the mirror world, then the other party would immediately be able to tell that he had obtained the mirror world. There was no doubt about that. A Lord of Heaven was not so easily fooled. What should he do? Di Duo Jian blocked Lei Xingfeng's path. All around him were his subordinates and disciples. No matter which direction Lei Xingfeng tried to go, he would be blocked. It could be said that with Lei Xingfeng's strength, it would be difficult to escape. Lei Xingfeng whispered, "Did you get in touch with young martial uncle?" Jin Daya shook his head. "I just tried, but there was no response." Lei Xingfeng sighed inwardly. If young martial uncle Feng Chenzong opened the secret door to help them, then all his puppets would be lost. This kind of loss was absolutely unbearable. One must know that the 36 silver puppets and 3 gold puppets were Lei Xingfeng's strongest fighting force. With them, he didn't need to be afraid of a Lord of Heaven. What should he do? Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. If he knew this would happen, he would have stayed in the mirror realm for a while longer. Even if he stayed for a few dozen days, he didn't believe that Di Duo Jian would stay here forever. But if he went back now, this guy would probably stay here forever. The reason why so many people came to the avocado swamp was probably because this guy wanted to find the mirror realm. Di Duo Jian also had a headache. If he did it himself, once the news spread, it would be troublesome if the other party's elders came. If it was a Lord of Heaven, then it would be fine. But if it was a Lord of Heaven, then he would be courting death. He knew very well that Lei Xingfeng was definitely not an ordinary disciple. Not to mention other things, the fact that he had these extremely rare puppets represented Lei Xingfeng's importance. No matter which secret door it was, who would be willing to give a 9th ring sage so many puppets? One must know how difficult it was to obtain a complete set of puppets, let alone activate them. Lei Xingfeng not only had 36 silver puppets, but also 3 gold puppets, which were extremely rare. These were weapons that could fight against the Lord of Heaven. Di Duo Jian saw that Lei Xingfeng didn't answer, and just kept looking around. He said, "How about it? I'll use materials or something you need in exchange for the mirror realm." Lei Xingfeng despised this guy in his heart. Wasn't this cheating a child? He said, "Senior, I'm sorry. I don't know what the mirror realm is, so I can't make a deal with you." This thing couldn't be traded at all, and Lei Xingfeng couldn't do it either. The simple reason was that this thing was priceless. Some people said that very precious things were priceless, but the mirror realm was priceless. Since it was priceless, then the idea of a deal was ridiculous. Lei Xingfeng would, of course, flatly refuse. Di Duo Jian's face became gloomier. He said, "You're just a ninth ring sage. How dare you be so rude to your senior?" Xi and Feng immediately understood. This fellow was going to use force since soft methods didn't work. As expected, he spoke, "Since you dare to be so rude, then I'll represent your elders to teach you a lesson. Capture the 3 of them." Jean Dia scolded, "Despicable." Tiger Love also scolded, "Elders? Elders my ass. A pile of shit. Just an excuse to bully people." At this time, the 2 realized that they had become a lot bolder. In fact, it was no wonder. After they had the mirror realm as an escape route, they were no longer afraid. At worst, they could just hide in the mirror realm. At that time, you couldn't hit them anyway, so they could just curse. Even if they couldn't beat you, it was good to make you angry. Lei Xingfeng shouted, "Go!" The 3 of them rushed out along the foot of the mountain. Their target was the forest not far away. Lei Xingfeng already had an idea. Even if they wanted to enter the mirror realm, they would have to rush into the forest and then run for a while before entering. He didn't believe that the other party could cut down a lot of forest. If they entered the mirror realm in an open space, the other party only needed to guard it, and he couldn't come out. The 3 gold-level beast puppets protected the 3 of them, while the other 36 silver-level beast puppets crazily ran around the 3 of them and the 3 gold-level beast puppets. Any attack was blocked by the 36 silver-level beast puppets. Lei Xingfeng shouted, "Run! Don't fly! Run! Quick! Quick! Quick!" As he ran crazily, he desperately shot out lightning. His main target was the 9th ring sages in the sky, to prevent them from attacking in the air. Even so, Lei Xingfeng couldn't block so many attacks. The other party's various attacks fell like raindrops. In just a few breaths, Jean Dia and Tiger Love were already injured. Fortunately, Lei Xingfeng had the protection of the mirror realm and could stabilize himself. In a few breaths, they were already close to the forest. Di Duo Jian didn't attack, not because he was embarrassed, but because he didn't think that the other party could escape. Beside him, Huacheng True Lord also didn't attack. The lesson from before was too deep, so when he saw Lei Xingfeng, he felt that his hands and feet were tied. Especially when he saw the 3 gold-level beast puppets, he always felt his scalp go numb. Therefore, he didn't attack, but only urged his subordinates and disciples to attack. Lei Xingfeng saw Jean Dia spit out a mouthful of blood and didn't hesitate to put him into the mirror realm. Then, he saw that Tiger Love was also on the verge of dying. The other party's attacks were not only concentrated, but also very powerful. They were shrouded in thick smoke and flames. Tiger Love was burned until he screamed, but before he could scream, he was put into the mirror realm by Lei Xingfeng. With 2 less people, Lei Xingfeng was able to move freely. A gold-level beast puppet suddenly carried him on its back, and its speed suddenly increased. The gold-level beast puppet's speed wasn't just for show. Once it increased its speed crazily, even a true lord might not be able to catch up. Several lightning nets were shot out consecutively, blasting down the 9th ring sage in the sky. At this time, Lei Xingfeng's lightning was a little different from before. Its power was a little strange. Its lethality didn't increase by much, but the effect of paralysis was greatly increased. Few people could resist it. As for the people attacking from the outside, even if they attacked, they were blocked by the silver-level beast puppets. Fortunately, Lei Xingfeng was focused on escaping, so the ninth ring sages were not defeated. There was a Lord of Heaven standing behind this group of people. Even if he didn't attack, Lei Xingfeng didn't dare to continue fighting because Di Duo Jian was standing there. It seemed that he didn't intend to join in. At this point, Lei Xingfeng certainly knew that this was his chance. He shot out more lightning from his hands. Of course, he didn't dare to release the chaos wheel for the time being. Once he was in danger, he would immediately enter the mirror realm. If he didn't take back the chaos wheel at that time, it would be a big loss. In about 10 seconds, 36 silver-level beast puppets, 3 gold-level beast puppets, and Lei Xingfeng on the back of a gold-level beast puppet had already rushed into the dense forest. Di Duo Jian said gloomily, "Watch him." Then his figure flashed slightly and disappeared, leaving behind a sentence that spread in the air. "Hua Cheng, go to the forest and watch over him." As long as Hua Cheng didn't fight, he was very happy. He agreed and disappeared in a flash. He left a few ninth ring sages beside him and flew into the forest. Running on the ground couldn't be compared to flying. After Exine Feng entered the forest, he immediately started to collect the silver-level mannequins, and in a few breaths of time, he had already collected the 36 silver-level mannequins and released the 8 steel mannequins to follow him as he ran. The forest here was very tall, with thick tree trunks and dense canopies. As they ran, the thinner trees were all broken. Chapter 377. After collecting 2 more gold-level puppets, Lei Xingfeng smiled strangely and shouted, "Spread out and run." The 8 steel puppets immediately fanned out and ran forward. Of course, they were much slower than the silver mannequins. However, while the steel mannequins weren't fast, they caused a lot of commotion. The commotion caused by their running made the people in the air think that there were many mannequins. It had to be known that the steel mannequins were incomparably strong. They almost always ran in a straight line. Unless they encountered a tree that was as thick as a person's arm, they would never take a detour. At that moment, Exine Feng and the gold-level mannequin Beast carrying him left the group. This gold-level mannequin Beast's speed was extremely fast as it ran to the side. Suddenly, the gold-level mannequin Beast disappeared while Exine Feng flew up. He flew close to the ground in order to eliminate the gold-level mannequin Beast tracks. After flying for a distance, he disappeared without a trace. In less than a few minutes, Di Duo Jian realized that something was wrong. He could see very clearly from the air that Lei Xingfeng's group had split into 8 groups and were running in 8 different directions. Di Duo Jian instantly arrived at one of the teams. In fact, there was only one steel puppet beast, but he couldn't see it clearly from the sky. He shouted, "Surround him! If you find that brat, capture him and kill the rest." He had to capture Lei Xingfeng alive. If he wanted to kill Lei Xingfeng, he had to do it personally. The other party would not be able to stop him at all. Killing people was easy, but capturing people was difficult. Fortunately, the other party ran in different directions. He thought that his chance had come. More than 10 ninth ring sages rushed down. The steel puppet was not willing to fight at all. It was ordered to run forward regardless of the situation. It was not allowed to stop or fight. Running was the right thing to do. When a steel mannequin ran recklessly, its momentum was very frightening. It was like a train that had lost control in the dense forest. Anything that stood in its way would be smashed to pieces. Of course, if it hit a giant tree, it might be able to slow it down a little. The dozen or so ninth ring sages landed in an encirclement. Before they could do anything, the 3 ninth ring sages standing in front of the steel doll saw a huge black object coming at them. It was like a huge rock whistling through the air. The 3 ninth ring sages were caught off guard and were sent flying. The one in front of them had his tendons and bones broken. He almost immediately lost consciousness and fainted. The other 2 were slightly better, but they were also dizzy and had at least a few broken bones. They could only watch as the steel puppet rushed past. One of the people who was lightly injured suddenly reacted and shouted, "It's not them! It's not them!" But no one cared. The remaining ninth ring sages swarmed over. The steel puppet's tracks were too obvious. Of course, This kind of secret could not be kept for long. Soon, Di Duo Jian knew that something was wrong. Someone reported that the thing running below was a strange type of puppet. It was completely different from the ones they saw before. Di Duo Jian immediately attacked. With a casual attack, he shattered a steel puppet. Then, after a short observation, his expression changed. He cursed, "Bastard! How dare you lie to me?" As he continued to flicker, the steel beast dolls were destroyed one by one. It took him less than 3 minutes to destroy 8 steel beast dolls. When he flew above the forest again, the forest below was silent. There was no sound at all. Di Duo Jian was flustered and exasperated. He shouted, "Search! Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, find them." A group of subordinates wandered around the forest like headless flies, looking for the tracks left behind. After about 2 hours, they found the tracks left behind by the gold puppet. Then, at a certain location, all the tracks disappeared. Huaqing also searched carefully. Then, he reported to Di Duo Jian, "Master, they should have disappeared here. As for where they went, I don't know." Di Duo Jian pondered for a moment and suddenly understood. He said, "Damn it, they should have entered the mirror realm. This is King Troublesome. That little bastard." With his self-restraint, he usually would not swear. He did not expect that this time. He would make mistakes with Lei Xingfeng. He could not help but swear. Hua Chengzhenjuan said, "Master, what should we do?" Di Duo Jian said, "Guard here. Since he's only a 9th ring sage, I believe that he can't use the secret door to leave. He will definitely appear here. I don't believe that I can't catch him. I'll set up a big trap here later. Humph, unless you never come out, don't think about running away again." Hua Chengzhenjuan was speechless. How much materials and labor would it take? A big trap was easy to say, but difficult to do. Master would definitely spend a lot of money this time. When Lei Xingfeng returned to the mirror realm, he saw Jean Dia, Tiger Love, and Jean Depang sitting around a big table. They were chatting and laughing while eating. The black bird stood beside the table. In front of it was a plate of fresh meat strips. It was eating with relish. Jean Depang saw Lei Xingfeng and hurriedly took out a chair and put it beside the table. He smiled politely and said, "It's good that you're back. Ha, Feng, take a seat." Lei Xingfeng sat down and sighed. "I lost 8 steel humanoid beasts. Sigh, it's heartbreaking." Jean Dia asked curiously, "How did you lose 8 steel humanoid beasts? Didn't you use the silver and gold humanoid beasts?" You transfer them out at the last minute." Lei Xingfeng smiled and explained, "I couldn't bear to use the silver and gold humanoid beasts, so I had to replace them with steel humanoid beasts. When they find out about the steel humanoid beasts, they will probably die of anger." Ha! Everyone understood one thing. As long as the other party couldn't pinpoint the location where Lei Xingfeng disappeared, then the chances of them escaping were very high. As the saying goes, one can be a thief for 1,000 days, but there's no such thing as guarding against a thief for 1,000 days. At the beginning, they would be very careful, but after a long time, no matter who it was, they would slack off. Moreover, they might not be able to pinpoint the location where Lei Xingfeng disappeared. This was the reason why Lei Xingfeng threw out the 8 steel humanoid beasts. Sacrificing 8 steel humanoid beasts to confuse the other party's line of sight was very worthwhile. Lei Xingfeng was at least 60% sure that they could escape from this predicament. As long as they returned to the secret door, Di Duo Jian would lose its target. Tiger Love smiled and said, "This loss doesn't matter. Haha, after a while, we can sneak away." Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "After 20 to 30 days, we can sneak out. If they don't find a location where I disappeared, haha, I will directly inform Junior Marshal Uncle to take us back to the secret treasure space and let them keep watch there." Jean Depang said, "A phone, you are too evil. If you keep watch there for a few years, the guard will probably go crazy." Lei Xingfeng said, "They deserve it. As long as I become a monarch, they won't be able to trap us anymore. As long as I can use the secret door. Right, if I can use the secret door of the mirror realm, it means that I can really explore the great forbidden area. Is there anything that can trap us?" The mirror realm is different from ordinary secret doors. Relying on the mirror realm, any trap will be useless. Everyone's eyes suddenly lit up. The Great Forbidden Area was a treasure land. Since Lei Xingfeng came out from there, everyone knew that it was dangerous. However, there were countless treasures in the Great Forbidden Area. If they had the escape route of the mirror realm, as long as they had the strength to buy some time, they could escape back to the mirror realm. Using the secret door to come out from other places meant that the risk would be reduced to a minimum. Di Duo Jian not only opened the secret door, but also transported a large number of materials. He also asked his subordinates to quickly surround the forest and began to set up a large-scale trap. This kind of trap was obtained from the Great Forbidden Area. It was a kind of restriction that made it difficult for people to fly and walk. Although it was only a basic restriction, very few people could control it. This kind of restriction was used by the Great Forbidden Area to trap invaders. Di Duo Jian was once trapped by this restriction. Fortunately, the restriction's energy was insufficient, so he was able to escape. Within the range of this restriction, he accidentally obtained a star python record. It recorded the simple refining method of this restriction. It required a large number of materials to set up. In order to obtain the mirror realm, Di Duo Jian was going all out. He couldn't let Lei Xingfeng escape. If he did, the consequences would be very serious. If he didn't handle it well, he might provoke the opponent's elders. He didn't think that he could conquer the world. There were many powerful experts in this world. If he provoked a Dao monarch, he would be finished. No matter what price he had to pay, he had to capture Lei Xingfeng. As long as he could get the mirror realm, everything would be worth it. Once this restriction was completed, it would consume about 30 to 40 yin rings per day. If a wild beast broke in, the number of yin rings consumed would greatly increase. Just the yin rings alone could bankrupt a monarch. Of course, Di Duo Jian was a monarch. He had enough yin rings to last for a long time. However, even if he was a monarch, the consumption of yin rings still made his heart ache. As long as Di Duo Jian's heart ached, Lei Xingfeng would feel extremely happy. Of course, Lei Xingfeng didn't know what Di Duo Jian was feeling right now. His only goal was to leave this place as far as possible. He didn't want to fight with Di Duo Jian at all. He wasn't stupid. Once he fought, there was a 90% chance that he would lose. In this kind of battle, Lei Xingfeng would stay as far away as possible. Di Duo Jian would not stay here for long. When the entire trap was set up, it would only take about 10 days. Then, Di Duo Jian would leave. It was easy for him to come here. As long as he sent a message back, he would be able to come here in less than 10 minutes. He was convinced that this trap would definitely delay the other party for a few hours. A dozen ninth ring sages were left around the trap. Then, hundreds of sages were sent here. They were all third or fourth ring sages. They were mainly used to patrol the surroundings. After all, there weren't enough ninth ring sages. Hua Cheng True Lord was left behind to command. In other words, Hua Cheng True Lord couldn't leave for the time being. He had to stay here and command everyone. This wasn't a good job for a monarch. Chapter 378. This was a primeval forest, humid and hot. Plus, there were countless mosquitoes. If one didn't put up some protection, they would be annoyed to death. Therefore, no one wanted to stay here for long. In a hidden sect, even a ninth ring sage could live a good life, let alone a top master like immortal Hua Cheng. But here, everyone had to suffer. Every time he thought of Lei Xingfeng, immortal Hua Cheng would gnash his teeth. He really wanted to catch that arrogant guy. His subordinate reported that they had built the first treehouse. This place was only suitable for treehouses. The ground wasn't suitable for treehouses. One had to know that the forest was humid and hot, and there were all kinds of poisonous insects, especially under the trees. It was too uncomfortable for people to live there. Therefore, treehouses were the most suitable. There were huge, ancient trees here, so it was very convenient to build treehouses. Hua Cheng flew to the treehouse and looked around. He was very satisfied, especially when the breeze blew. It dissipated his gloominess. He said, "Good. Follow the trap. Build a treehouse every 10 meters or so. Arrange people to observe. If you find anything, immediately send out the alarm. A ninth ring sage said, Master, don't worry. We've arranged our shifts. We won't let anyone go. Immortal Hua Chung nodded with satisfaction. He sat down cross-legged and stared at the dense forest. No one knew what he was thinking. The other sages left quietly, leaving only a few servants to wait for his call. Lei Xingfeng took Jean Dia, Tiger Love, and Jean Depang to tour the Mirror Realm. After Lei Xingfeng took the Mirror Realm, it began to shrink rapidly. It was now about 100 kilometers in radius. If it wanted to expand again, it would need a lot of energy. The weeds on the ground were more than a foot tall, and the saplings were nearly a meter tall. The original buildings, except for those made of steel, had mostly collapsed and disappeared. Except for a few that Lei Xingfeng purposely kept, the rest had turned into mud. In addition, Lei Xingfeng also discovered that there was an underground smelting factory. As long as there were minerals, one could refine all kinds of metal products. The smelting factory was actually controlled by puppets. It was so advanced that Lei Xingfeng was shocked. This meant that if there were minerals in the mirror dimension, then the underground smelting factory could operate and produce all kinds of metals. It could then create all kinds of metal puppets. Of course, these underground smelting factories and manufacturing factories had basically stopped operating. Firstly, there was no ore, and secondly, there was no energy supply. These were all problems that Lei Xingfeng had to solve in the future. After living in the Mirror Realm for more than 30 days, Lei Xingfeng decided to go out and take a look. If there was no one outside, then he could slip away. Lei Xingfeng quietly came out with a gold-level puppet. The reason why he brought the gold-level puppet was because he was afraid of encountering Di Duo Jian. Then, the gold-level puppet would be able to block one attack and give Lei Xingfeng time to escape. The place where he came out was next to a big tree. Lei Xingfeng and the gold-level puppet quietly appeared. Lei Xingfeng did not move and listened. The surroundings were silent. There was only the sound of birds chirping and the occasional rustling. There was no sound of people. Lei Xingfeng let the gold-level puppet stay next to the big tree while he carefully climbed up. Soon, he reached the top of the tree. Lei Xingfeng looked carefully and quickly found the tree house in the distance. He also saw people moving. Occasionally, he could see people flying quickly from one tree to another. This could not be hidden from Lei Xingfeng's eyes. After a little calculation, Lei Xingfeng immediately let out a sigh of relief. He was secretly glad that he had made the wise choice. He was almost certain that when he took away the gold-level puppet and left behind the last trace, the other party had circled around a few kilometers. Although he did not know what the other party had done, Lei Xingfeng knew that there was definitely a big problem in the area surrounded. Now, it was clear that he did not fall into the area that the other party had circled. Quietly sneaking down the tree, Lei Xingfeng quickly put away the gold-level puppet and then carefully left in the opposite direction. His feet definitely could not step on the ground, so Lei Xingfeng hung a foot in the air and moved bit by bit. He tried his best to avoid the branches and leaves as he moved further and further away. After walking for a full half an hour, Lei Xingfeng finally started running. He no longer paid attention to the branches and trees blocking his way and rushed straight through. Soon, he had run very far away. Lei Xingfeng quickly climbed up a huge tree. He looked around and found that he was already far away from those people. After releasing Jean Dia and Tiger Love, Lei Xingfeng said, "Okay, we have already escaped from the other party's pursuit. It's time to go back." Jean Dia laughed and said, "Are those people still there?" Tiger Love said they should be. They probably won't give up on such an important thing. Lei Xingfeng laughed and said, "They built a tree house. It looks like they'll be guarding it for a long time. Hee hee, let them wait. Even if they wait until they die, there won't be any results." He couldn't help but want to laugh. Jean Dia couldn't help but laugh. "Haha, you're too evil. A phone. If those guys knew that you escaped long ago, wouldn't they be pissed to death?" Tiger Love said, "If it were me, I would be pissed to death. This is too much of a scam." Lei Xingfeng laughed. "That's right, I'm going to scam them. When I'm strong enough, when I meet them again, I won't have to run anymore." Jean Dia said with bad intentions. Then let them wait a few more years, maybe a decade, haha. Lei Xingfeng said, Uncle Tiger, did you get in touch with Junior Uncle? Tiger Love said, yes. Soon, the three went through Feng Qinzong's secret door and returned to the hidden space. Feng Qinzong saw that the three of them were all smiles and asked curiously, Rich? You're all so happy. Xi and Feng spoke, I'm not rich, I'm just happy. Feng Qinzong looked at Lei Xingfeng suspiciously. He suddenly laughed. No way. As long as you go out, your luck is so good that it makes people jealous. Isn't this a rare occasion? Lei Xingfeng laughed, but didn't answer. He couldn't answer. He would only tell them about the mirror realm when his master and founder came. He didn't want to show off for now. Feng Qinzong only joked a little before Lei Xingfeng took Jean Dia and Tiger Love home. Back home, Lei Xingfeng finally relaxed. He released Jean Depan and the blackbird and smiled. Welcome home. Jean Depan sighed. Damn, we're finally back. The blackbird spread its wings and flew in a circle, complaining, My lord, you finally thought of the bird. You don't know how bored the bird is in that damn place. Caw, it's too annoying, it's really lonely. Caw, Uncle Feng, you can't throw the bird in there in the future. It's like being imprisoned. It's so depressing. Lei Xingfeng didn't answer. He raised his hand and shot out a bolt of lightning. The blackbird fell from the sky and landed on the ground, trembling. Lei Xingfeng shot out 3 bolts of lightning in a row. He smiled. Okay, that's about it. After trembling for a few minutes, the blackbird flew up and landed on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder. It continued to tremble. Because of the stimulation of the lightning, it couldn't say a word. Its 2 little claws grabbed onto Lei Xingfeng's clothes. It had to hold on tight, or it would fall. After dealing with the blackbird, Lei Xingfeng said, I'm going to sleep. Everyone has worked hard. Go back and rest. We'll talk later. After returning to his room, Xi and Feng fell asleep as soon as he hit the pillow. He had been exhausted for the past few days in the mirror world, and he had been restless. After all, fighting against the Lord of Heaven was a huge pressure. A 9th-ringed Lord against the Lord of Heaven. There was no hope of winning. Even if he had the mannequin beast, he still wouldn't be able to win. Fortunately, he finally escaped. Lei Xingfeng was completely relaxed and slept very soundly. Lei Xingfeng slept for 2 days and 2 nights. In fact, he didn't need to sleep that long, but Lei Xingfeng liked the feeling of sleeping, especially at home. He didn't have to worry about any danger, so he continued to sleep even when he woke up. After 2 days, he couldn't sleep anymore. He had to drag his feet and get up. After taking a shower, he changed into a clean set of clothes and walked to the yard. There were only a few servants in the yard. When they saw Lei Xingfeng come out, they all saluted. They didn't go forward unless they were called by the master. Otherwise, they had to stay where they were. This was their duty. Lei Xingfeng came under the wooden shed and pulled out a chair to sit down. He waved his hand, and a servant ran over. Here, Lei Xingfeng said, ask the kitchen to send some food. Hurry up. He hadn't eaten for a few days and was a little hungry. The servant quickly left. After a quarter of an hour, another servant came in with a big bowl of meat and soup. There was also a plate of duck oil sesame seed cake, which was Lei Xingfeng's favorite food. After eating a sesame seed cake, Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love all came out. The 3 of them came to Lei Xingfeng's side and pulled out chairs to sit down. They all reached out to grab a sesame seed cake to eat. Jean Dia said, this is good. It should be Fatty's doing. Fatty Jean came out from the back with a big plate of steaming barbecued meat. He said, it's freshly barbecued rock lamb. It's very delicious. Hee. Mad Eagle said with a smile, this is delicious. Hee. Xi and Jiaoluan and Qi Meiyun came in. Xi and Jiaoluan said with a smile, I smelled the aroma from outside. Little junior brother has been very relaxed recently. Lei Xingfeng stood up and said with a smile, second senior brother, third senior sister, what brings you here today? Xi and Jiaoluan said with a bitter smile, we're all cooped up at home. It's not suitable for us to go out. He said as he came to the table. A servant pulled out chairs and invited the 2 of them to sit. Lei Xingfeng said, what do you mean it's not suitable for us to go out? Qi Meiyun said with a smile, it's all a mess outside. Many people have come to occupy land. Because of the agreement with the secret sects, they won't expel the locals. They just occupy the land and build cities. Now, there's so many people coming and going outside. It's annoying just to see them. Most of us from the secret sects have retreated. We'll talk about it again when things are settled. Lei Xingfeng nodded. Of course he understood. Although the outsiders were of the same language and race as this world, they were ordinary people who had developed their own technology. With this technology, although it couldn't compare to the power of the secret sects, they could exert their collective strength and form a new force. Chapter 379. This was a bit like the invasion of colonists. However, the secret sects had their own plans and did not stop the colonists from invading. After the two societies merged, the secret sects would naturally return to reap their own benefits. The secret sects had great power and would not be at a disadvantage in front of any society or force. Therefore, almost all the secret sects were in seclusion, waiting for things to calm down. It might take a long time. Xi and Jiaoluan said, "Actually, it doesn't affect us going out. It's just that there have been a lot of rumors recently. I don't know if it's true or not, but collecting materials for advancement is more important. I'm too lazy to worry about other things." Lei Xingfeng asked, "What rumors?" Jiaoluan said, "It seems that a more powerful world has been discovered and that the passage can be opened by the secret sections. Many people have died, including many monarch-level experts. It's very dangerous. Now, the true experts of the secret sects have gone there and found a lot of top materials. It's said that it's more dangerous than outer space." Lei Xingfeng shook his head and said, F***CK, more dangerous than outer space? Outer space is already very dangerous. If it's more dangerous, how dangerous can it be? By the way, where did Master and Founder go? Xi and Jiaoluan said, "I really don't know. Last time I asked Junior Uncle, he couldn't explain it clearly. He only said that he was to guard the house, but Master and Founder didn't say where they were going. However, I think it should be very dangerous. Otherwise, why didn't they bring you there?" Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "Why did they want to bring me there?" Qi Meiyun said with a smile, "You're a lucky baby. Everyone knows that if they bring you there, they'll get rich." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly and said, Okay. A lucky baby is a lucky baby. It's better than no luck." Everyone laughed. After so many excursions, he had gained a lot every time. He had become known as a lucky baby. This was engraved in everyone's heart. No matter how Lei Xingfeng explained, no one would believe him. Therefore, Lei Xingfeng stopped explaining. The blackbird jumped out of the room. It was also sleeping, so when it woke up and found that Lei Xingfeng was not there, it immediately jumped out and shouted, "I'm so hungry. Why didn't you call out to me when you were eating?" It spread its wings and flew to the table, saying, "Old fatty, give me some meat to eat." Everyone was stunned for a moment before they burst into laughter. Jean Depang cursed, "You damn bird, you dare to eat my meat?" Blackbird rolled his eyes and said, "Idiot, is it that hard to understand? Even a bird understands it, but you alone don't understand?" Jean Depang immediately prostrated himself on the ground. He shook his head and sighed inwardly. "Why can't I remember? Never fight with this bird. It's a famous bird with a poisonous tongue. I definitely can't beat it." Jean Depang raised his hand and said, "I'm not talking to you anymore. What are you eating? Go find your master." Blackbird said, "Are you going to give it or not?" Jean Depang was amused. "What? How dare you threaten me? Be careful, or I'll roast you and eat you." Blackbird didn't say another word. A bolt of lightning as thin as a cotton thread directly struck Jean Depang. Lei Xingfeng and the others didn't stop it. Jean Depang didn't care at all. He didn't take any precautions. They all thought that such a thin bolt of lightning wouldn't have any effect. It couldn't hurt anyone. Who knew that the extremely thin bolt of lightning would explode when it hit Jean Depang. Electric arcs flashed all over Jean Depang's body. His hair all stood up and his body trembled violently. Along with the intense shaking, a cracking sound was heard. The table and chair under Jean Depang collapsed. Jean Depang sat on the ground and continued shaking for a dozen or so seconds. Only then did he feel better. Everyone was dumbstruck. No one had expected that a single lightning bolt from the Blackbird would have such a huge effect. Jean Depang pointed at Blackbird, but couldn't say a word. His whole body was numb, and he couldn't even open his mouth. Lei Xingfeng stood up in surprise and said, "How can it be so powerful?" He knew that this little bit of electric current couldn't hurt Jean Depang, but the effect was surprisingly good because it could freeze Jean Depang. This was a very terrifying thing. If one was frozen in a battle, it would be the rhythm of death. Blackbird was immediately complacent. It raised its little head and said proudly, "Of course it's powerful. You dare to bully me? I'll numb you to death." Ga. Jean Depang waved his hand and said, You're ruthless? I'm scared of you." In terms of strength, Blackbird couldn't beat him. However, if he wanted to catch Blackbird, it would be extremely difficult. First of all, Blackbird could fly. Second, Blackbird's long-range attack had been tested and proved to be quite powerful. Blackbird was extremely proud. It cackled, and its laughter made everyone's hair stand on end. Lei Xingfeng shouted, "Enough!" Suddenly, Blackbird withered like an eggplant hit by frost. It said, "You're bullying me again." Lei Xingfeng said, "You're the one bullying me." Blackbird spread its wings and flew to Lei Xingfeng's shoulder. It combed Lei Xingfeng's hair and said, "Sir, I'm innocent." Jean Dias suddenly said, "A phone. Can I choke this guy to death?" Lei Xingfeng was stunned, then laughed and said, "Bird Butte. You're going to make everyone angry." Blackbird said, "Of course not. That guy has long disliked this bird. It's not strange for him to say something like this. It's just that this bird doesn't care." Jean Dia choked and couldn't say anything. As the saying goes, you have to look at the owner before beating a dog. Blackbird only dared to talk nonsense because of Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng warned, "Bird Butte, if you talk nonsense again, I'll have Fatty throw you into the oven." Blackbird really didn't care when Jean Depang said he wanted to roast the bird. But when Lei Xingfeng said he wanted to roast the bird, it was really scared. It said fawningly, "This bird knows, sir, you can't bear to caw-caw." It guiltily combed Lei Xingfeng's hair and carefully observed his expression. Jean Dia waved his hand and said, "Forget it. I'm too lazy to lower myself to the bird's level." Lei Xingfeng took out some fresh meat strips. These were the food he prepared for Blackbird. There was a small amount of star beast meat mixed in. He put a plate on the table, then took out some fresh meat strips and put them on the plate. He said, "All right, Bird Butte, eat." Blackbird cheered and flew to the table, quickly pecking. It wasn't stupid. It had already smelled the fragrance of the star beast meat. Jean Depang shook his head. He didn't know what to do with Blackbird. Blackbird didn't like his cooking. It only ate fresh meat. Unless he had some star beast meat, it would have been eaten long ago. While they were talking, Isham walked in and said, "Stop eating. Quickly go to the ancestor." Lei Xingfeng stood up and said, "The ancestor is back." Isham said, "He just came back." He immediately ordered everyone to go there. Lei Xingfeng only had one thought in his mind. Something bad happened. He said, "Second senior brother, third senior sister, let's go together." The three of them immediately ran out. Blackbird shouted, "Wait, Burkaw, I'm not done yet, Kaw." It quickly landed on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and held on tightly. What a joke. One meal could be skipped, but rice couldn't be lost. Everyone else sat and looked at each other. After a while, Jean Dia said, "What's going on?" "It seems serious." Tiger Love said, "It seems urgent." "I don't know what's going on." Mad Eagle said with a smile, "It's fine. Even if something happens, it's not our place to worry." Jean Depang said, "Let's eat first. We'll know when a phone comes back. Instead of worrying, it's better to eat more so that we can work harder." Jean Dia said helplessly, "You foodie, you only know how to eat." Mad Eagle smiled and said, "What Depang said is actually right. Even if something happens, it's not our place to worry. It's better to eat more and have enough energy to wait for a Feng's call." "Huh, maybe it's better this way." Isham didn't leave with them. He came to the table, sat down, and picked up a piece of duck oil sesame seed cake. He said while eating, "Don't worry, I don't think there's anything particularly dangerous. We'll just wait for them to come back." Although everyone was still a little worried, they didn't have any definite news. There was nothing they could do but wait patiently. Lei Xingfeng, Xi and Zhaoluan, and Qi Meiyan quickly arrived at Wu Yang's residence. When the three entered the hall, they found that all the important people of the hidden sect were already there. Xi and Feng hadn't seen his master Guqi and ancestor Wu Yang for a while. He looked at their faces and saw that they were calm. He let out a sigh of relief. It shouldn't be a serious problem. Maybe his master and ancestor just wanted to see everyone. All 8 disciples were here, including the eldest disciple Yuko, second disciple Xi and Zhaoluan, third disciple Qi Meiyan, fourth disciple by Tianming, fifth disciple Yin Yao, sixth disciple Tung Yuan, seventh disciple Miao Ling, and the youngest disciple Lei Xingfeng. Master's wife Tanya, junior marshal uncle Feng Qinzong, and the most important people of the hidden sect were all here. Lei Xingfeng found a chair and sat down, quietly waiting for the elders to speak. The atmosphere in the hall was a little heavy. Everyone looked at their master and founder in silence. Wu Yang chuckled and said, "Don't be so nervous. No one died. Why are you all so tense?" Everyone relaxed. This kind of attitude was rare. But since Wu Yang said so, it meant that even if something happened, it didn't have much to do with them. Or rather, it didn't have much to do with them for the time being. Wu Yang continued, "I called everyone here to tell you one thing. Our hidden sect, yes, it's not just our hidden sect. Many hidden sects have gathered together. We've conquered a piece of land on the Dawn continent. We control about 1,000 square kilometers. We need a lot of people, at least first ring enlightened masters. Yes, we need about 800 people." Guqi added, "Just our hidden sect alone needs 800 people." Wu Yang said, "This piece of land was conquered by a large number of hidden sects experts. Many people died because of it." Guqi smiled. "It's a land of treasures. Resources are plentiful, even more plentiful than the outer realms. The natives there, well, they're not uncivilized natives. They're extremely powerful natives. Even the experts from the secret sects would find it difficult to deal with them. They had to gather the strength of a large number of secret sects to occupy that place." Wu Yang said, "We need to use the shortest amount of time to develop the resources there. That's why we mobilize people, mainly to dig and harvest. Our hidden sect also occupies a small piece of land, about 20 square kilometers. The location is not bad. There are several mineral veins that pass through the land. Those mineral veins can be excavated, and the rare plants on the ground can also be harvested." Chapter 380. In addition, the people of Dawn Continent are a little different from us. First, they speak different languages, and their race is also slightly different. Their strength is quite powerful, and their top-notch martial strength is about the same as our secret top-notch martial strength. Their true top-notch martial strength is comparable to Dao monarchs. Even I would lose if I went up against them. Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "There's a difference in their race?" Wu Yang said, "Dark brown skin, white hair, and a thin body. They're called the Antari. They seem to have no strength, but that's not the case. They have unfathomable abilities, and we haven't figured it out yet. We can only rely on our powerful strength to suppress them. Moreover, they have a lot of people. Of course, the truly powerful experts are relatively few." Lei Xingfeng muttered to himself, "Antari? What a strange way to put it." Guqi said, "Currently, Dao monarchs have already set up a large-scale seal in the area under our control. It can stop the Antari from entering. Of course, if we want to enter or leave, we have to get permission. Otherwise, we won't be able to leave. This means that this seal is also effective against us." Yuko's eyes lit up. "Are there more resources outside?" Wu Yang smiled, "Of course. The area we occupy, in the eyes of the Antari, is a barren land." Everyone was shocked and started to discuss. Lei Xingfeng asked, "What's the attitude of the Antari towards us?" Wu Yang smiled, "Hostile. You definitely won't like it." Guqi added, "They kill everyone they see. If it wasn't for the experts blocking them and occupying a region, our people would have been killed." Lei Xingfeng asked, "Is there no possibility of peace?" Wu Yang said indifferently. No, it's a life and death relationship. Moreover, our language is completely different. Someone is learning it now. Gucci smiled. Don't worry. As long as you don't go out of the protective circle in Dawn Continent, there won't be any danger. Lei Xingfeng shook his head inwardly. How could they not go out? Especially when there were so many resources out there. No one could resist such temptation, especially the cultivators who were so poor that they had gone mad. Wu Yang said, to us, the Dawn Continent is the wasteland continent. That place is safer than outer space, because the ones who are dangerous, there are the Antari people. As long as they are human, they are not scary. Most importantly, the resources there are too rich. The Antari people rely on these resources and use extremely violent methods to reach an extremely high level of martial strength. That place is the treasure land for our long-term development. Gucci said, we lack a lot of manpower. In addition, that place is also a cultivation paradise. Your ancestor and I are about to advance. This time, we went to the Dawn Continent and found that it's a good place to advance. Therefore, we also need people to protect us. This time, I've gathered everyone to go to the Dawn Continent. Lei Xingfeng's heart skipped a beat. He thought of Yi and Thunderstorm. He didn't know where he had run off to now. He sighed inwardly and asked, Ancestor, will my little sister's secret sect also go there? Wu Yang smiled. Most secret sects will go there. Your little sister's secret sect will definitely go there. Moreover, they should occupy a larger area. There are Dao monarchs in their secret sect. Yu Ko said, if that's the case, then isn't it a great migration? Wu Yang nodded. Actually, it's a great migration. That place is too suitable for us. You'll understand when you go there. This is also the reason why us old fellows are risking our lives to occupy this place. Lei Xingfeng said, how big is this continent? Wu Yang said, the area that we've explored so far is less than 10,000 square kilometers. The area that we occupy is also very small. However, it's enough for the various secret sects to enter. As long as we have a foothold, with our strength, we can nibble away at it bit by bit. Gucci said, that's right. We're nibbling away and expanding our territory bit by bit. After a certain extent, the various secret sects will be able to establish their own strongholds. Of course, they must have a certain level of strength. Wu Yang smiled. Actually, it's not that dangerous. You should know that we have secret sects. Once the stronghold cannot be defended, we can immediately retreat to the secret treasure space. Then, we can return to the main stronghold and start all over again. This is a chance for the secret sects to rise once again. I believe that the various secret sects will do their best to discover it. This is an extremely rare opportunity. The discovery of the Dawn Continent was very coincidental. It was discovered by a few Dao lords during their exploration. Because of the distribution of resources and the fact that the locals were too strong, they decided to make it public and allow all the secret sects to join. Gucci added, entering a secret sect in a main stronghold isn't without a price. Roughly speaking, a secret sect needs to pay 200 rings per day to support the camp's defense. Of course, this has nothing to do with the number of people. Every secret sect has a limited territory. The number of people they have is up to them. Everyone couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. 200 rings per day was a terrifying number. It didn't seem like much, but when accumulated, it was a shocking number. 10 days would be 2,000 rings. 100 days would be 20,000 rings. For a secret sect, this was definitely a heavy burden. Wu Yang said, you don't have to worry too much about rings. You should know that the territory we occupy has all sorts of resources. We can just dig them out and exchange them for rings. I believe that the amount of rings we earn a day is definitely more than 200 rings. So there's no need to worry. We can afford it. Lei Xingfeng said, will our main focus be on the Dawn Continent in the future? Will we give up on the other places? Wu Yang smiled. We won't give up on the other places. But if you go to the Dawn Continent, you'll realize that the other places added together can't compare to the Dawn Continent. When that time comes, will you still go to other places? Lei Xingfeng scratched his head. Give up on the outer realms as well? Gucci smiled. The outer realms are different. They don't just have resources. There are also forbidden areas and great forbidden areas. You can obtain some cultivation methods and lost seals. It's something that we cultivators can't give up. However, it's too dangerous. If you don't have a master to guide you, would you dare to go there alone? Lei Xingfeng said, "Oh, so that's how it is. All right, I understand." Wu Yang said, "The reward from the Dawn continent are greater than other places, and it's relatively less dangerous. Of course, there are dangers everywhere. It's just a matter of whether it's worth it or not. As for the outer realms, once you reach the Dawn continent, it'll be much more convenient to go there. You can just use a monarch's secret door. It won't be like before, where you had to use a down monarch's secret door and use a large amount of yin rings." Lei Xingfeng immediately reacted. "So you're saying that the outer realms are very close to the Dawn continent?" Wu Yang said, "I'm not sure about that, but it's very easy to open a secret door on the Dawn continent. If you're still here, with the strength of a monarch, you won't be able to reach the outer realms unless you have the Sky Evolution Crystal. Of course, if you use the Sky Evolution Crystal, it'll be too wasteful." Lei Xingfeng calculated in his mind. He now had the Mirror Realm and could carry large amounts of materials, livestock, and even ordinary people. It was dangerous outside, but the Mirror Realm wasn't. It was the best place to hide. Plus, he knew how to create the steel, humanoid beasts, and metal spiders. He was confident that he could ensure the safety of his people when he went to the Dawn continent. Before going, Lei Xingfeng needed to gather large amounts of materials and people. He was going to put them in the Mirror Realm before going. With the Mirror Realm, Lei Xingfeng finally felt safe. The only thing he lacked now was strength. If he could advance to a monarch, then he would truly have the Mirror Realm and be able to use the secret door of the Mirror Realm. If he couldn't use the secret door of the Mirror Realm, then he could only go in and out of the Mirror Realm. This wouldn't make any fundamental difference in escaping danger. For example, if he fell into a restriction in a forbidden area, just like in the outer realms, even Wu Yang almost couldn't get out. If he had the Mirror Realm at that time, and Lei Xingfeng could control the secret door of the Mirror Realm, then this level of restriction wouldn't be able to trap them. Once the Mirror Realm was activated and the secret door was opened, then the Mirror Realm would be the best refuge and the best escape door. Having the Mirror Realm was equivalent to having a home and a door to escape at any time. Unless Lei Xingfeng was instantly killed, he definitely wouldn't die. Therefore, as long as he was careful, he could really go to any dangerous place. Lei Xingfeng lowered his head and thought carefully. Xi and Zhaoluan pushed him hard. Lei Xingfeng said blankly, "What's wrong?" Xi and Zhaoluan said, "Grandmaster asked you a question." Lei Xingfeng looked up and said, "Sorry, I was distracted, Grandmaster." Wu Yang smiled and said, "A phone. Are you going to be the first group to go?" Lei Xingfeng thought for a moment and said, "I'll be the second group to go. I need to make some preparations in advance and need some time." Most importantly, Lei Xingfeng didn't say that he needed some time to find Thunderstorm and inform Lei Xingyao. As for the continent he was born in, he didn't have any thoughts about it. It was different from his previous life. The range of activities in this world was too wide, and the communication technology couldn't be compared to his previous life. There were many people and many things that after they passed, they would never have the chance to meet again. Other than his family and his sect, Lei Xingfeng basically didn't care about anything else. There were no countries, no ethnic groups, and no enemies. He thought that as long as he and his family lived happily, this life was worth it. He didn't have the ambition to dominate, nor did he like killing. A leisurely life was his best goal and also his biggest dream. Of course, for this dream and goal, strength was the best guarantee. Wu Yang nodded and said, "That's good. This time, your master will be the vanguard. Those who want to go in the first group, sign up yourselves. Make it clear how many people you plan to bring. After the first group goes, the second group will come." Gucci said, "After we go, the entrance to the secret hidden space will be sealed." Lei Xingfeng's heart tightened. He said, "Master, if the entrance is sealed, then outsiders can't come in." Chapter 381. Gucci said, "It's just that we can't enter for now. If we want to enter, we'll have to wait for us to come back and undo the seal. A phone, it's not that we want to seal the hidden space, it's just that there's no one left to guard it." The so-called no one left to guard it didn't refer to ordinary cultivators, but to the fact that there was no monarch left to guard it. This was a very dangerous situation for a hidden space. This time, it was clear that they had to gather the most power to go to the Dawn continent. Therefore, Feng Qinzong couldn't guard it. Even if he'd just become a monarch, he was still a monarch. He was much stronger than a ninth ring sage. It would be a waste for him to guard it. Soon, the short meeting ended. Wu Yang said, "Everyone, go back and prepare. In 10 days, the first group will depart for the Dawn continent." Everyone agreed and got up to leave. Lei Xingfeng returned home worriedly. Tiger Love, Mad Eagle, and Jean Dia were all waiting at home. When they saw Lei Xingfeng, they all stood up to greet him. Jean Dia said, "A phone, what's the matter?" Mad Eagle and Tiger Love also had curious expressions. Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. "Our hidden sect is going to move to a new place, the Dawn continent. Most of us will have to move there. We even have to seal the passage between the hidden space and the current world." Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love all had shocked expressions. This decision was a bit scary. Mad Eagle sighed. "A great migration. I wonder what will happen in the future. There should be a special place in the Dawn continent." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "There are two important places. One is the Dawn continent, and the other is the Outer Realm. After arriving at the Dawn continent, going to the Outer Realm will be much easier. All you need is a monarch's hidden sect, not a Daelord's. In other words, even if you want to go to the Outer Realm in the future, it'll be easy." Jean Dia said, "This means it'll be harder for us to return to the hidden space." Lei Xingfeng was slightly startled. He had to admit that these words made sense. Because the Dawn continent was close to the Outer Realm, it meant that the Dawn continent was very far from here. He said, "Maybe. I didn't ask. If the true immortal could come and go as he pleased, he probably wouldn't be so serious about it." Jean Dia said, "There will be a lot of things to do in the future. However, we don't have to worry too much about a phone. Not to mention the fact that you have the elders in front of you. You can still use the Mirror Realm. You didn't tell them that you have the Mirror Realm, right?" Lei Xingfeng said, "I didn't have time to tell you." Jean Dia pondered for a while and said, "A phone. Let's not talk about it for now. It's best to wait until you become a true monarch." Mad Eagle said, "I agree." Tiger Love also said, "That's good." The black bird on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder said, "That's right, GA." Lei Xingfeng said, "Well, that's good too. Don't show off your wealth. Wait until I become a true monarch. I'm almost ready." In fact, Lei Xingfeng had already met all the requirements to become a true monarch. It was just that he wanted to wait for the old man Thunderstorm to become a true monarch before considering the matter of promotion. He didn't know why, but he always felt that Thunderstorm could open up a new path for him to become a true monarch. Lei Xingfeng said, "I need everyone's help." Jean Dia said, "Phone, just say it. We'll help." Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "Find a way to find me, i.e. This time we must bring him along. Send someone to find him." Jean Dia said, "Okay, I'll send someone to find him." Lei Xingfeng said, "Other than looking for Yi, send someone to Little Sister's secret sect. I know that they're going to the Dawn continent. Moreover, there are many experts in their secret sect. They shouldn't have sealed the secret space. If we can't find Yi, this is a passage that can let Yi go to the Dawn continent. We need to pass this information to Little Sister." Jean Dia nodded and said, "That's not a problem. Let Fatty go." Lei Xingfeng said, "Also collect food. A large amount of food and daily necessities. The Dawn continent. We don't know what's there. It's best to prepare ourselves first to avoid any awkwardness." Tiger Love said, "Leave this to me." Lei Xingfeng said, "Also, find me a large amount of refined metals. The Mirror Realm needs to be replenished. Because my cultivation isn't high enough, I can't produce steel humanoid beasts for now. However, I can repair the steel humanoid beasts in the Mirror Realm. There are a lot of them inside. After repairing them, they will be a great help to us when we go to the Dawn continent. In the Mirror Realm, Many of the steel humanoid beasts were damaged. At least half of them were damaged. Even so, there were still a few hundred steel humanoid beasts in perfect condition. As long as they were replenished with energy, they could be activated. There were also other alien humanoid beasts, such as the giant metal spider. They were all left behind by the predecessors. If there were enough metals, Lei Xingfeng was confident that he could replenish 100 more steel humanoid beasts. Mad Eagle said, "The newcomers have countless metals. It should be easy to get them. Leave this to me." Lei Xingfeng took out a bag and said, "Use the Yin rings to exchange for metals. I believe we can get a lot of them." Yin rings were very valuable. They could be considered a hard currency, just like the gold and diamonds in Lei Xingfeng's previous life. Anyone would accept them. Mad Eagle took the bag and inspected it. He nodded and said, "Leave it to me." A few hundred Yin rings were enough for him to use. He could exchange them for a large amount of metals, even rare metals. Lei Xingfeng said, "Right, buy some machines from the outsiders." "Yes, excavating machines. I think they should have them." Mad Eagle nodded. "No problem. I'll ask. If they have them, I'll definitely buy them." Lei Xingfeng quickly wrote a letter on a piece of beast skin. He waved his hand and called for a servant. "Give it to the fatty in the kitchen. Forget it. Tell Jean Depeng to come." The servant immediately nodded and ran to the back. A moment later, Jean Depeng ran out again. He said, "A phone, what's the matter?" Lei Xingfeng handed him the letter. "Go to my little sister's secret door and deliver this letter. Don't waste any time. Go now." Jean Diaz said, "Find a sixth ring protector to take you there. You'll be in charge of showing the way." Jean Depeng's face reddened. "Yes, I'll go." He ran away in a sorry state. Xian Feng was startled, but he reacted quickly, immediately understanding the meaning behind Jean Diaz's words. If he didn't have a sixth ring sage to carry him, Jean Depeng would need some time to reach his sister's secret door. If he flew, it would be much faster. After all, walking and flying were two different concepts. The black bird said indifferently. Old Fatty was humiliated again, Ka. Everyone was speechless. This bird's words were so piercing. This bird's tongue was even sharper than a human's. It usually didn't speak much, but once it did, if you took it seriously, you would be angered to death. No one paid any attention to the blackbird. Lei Xingfeng said, "How many people are we bringing this time? Based on the scale, we might have to live on the Dawn continent for a long time. This is like moving. Most of us should go." Jean Diaz said, "That's up to a channel to decide. He's the head steward. Many things are handled by him." Calling Ishan over, Lei Xingfeng gave a simple explanation. Finally, he asked, "Head steward, you'll make the arrangements?" Ishan was silent for a moment, then said, "I need to plan. I can't make a decision on the spot. This time, we need to mobilize many people. Also, we need to consider the cost. If we bring too many people, we'll need to spend a lot more Yin rings." Lei Xingfeng said, "You don't need to worry about how many people we bring. I need a group of people to farm and produce, even if it's a normal person." Ishan looked surprised. He didn't know that Lei Xingfeng had the mirror realm. He said, "How much time do we have?" Lei Xingfeng said, "If it's short, we'll be there in a month. If it's long, 2 months. Maybe last month. Anyway, there should be enough time. The first group will leave in 10 days. With the second group, there's still time to prepare." Ishan was a little worried. If we add normal people, how will they pass through the hidden door? Normal people entering a hidden door, especially a long-distance teleportation, how many of them will survive? Lei Xingfeng said, "Don't worry about that. I'll take care of it. I guarantee that no one will die." Ishan didn't know what to say. Only a large hidden door with a short distance could allow normal people to pass through. If it was a small hidden door, even if the distance was close, they wouldn't be able to handle it. Their bodies were too weak. Jean Diaz said, "Old AI, you don't need to worry about that. A phone has a way." Ishan didn't hesitate anymore. He said, "All right, if that's the case, I'll try my best to organize people. Since we're migrating, I'll move the villages together. At the same time, I'll recruit people from the outside to fill in the gaps." Xian Feng spoke, "We need to buy more food, especially seeds. We need to prepare enough. Also, we need to prepare all kinds of meat, fish, prawns, and other animals. Ishanel was stunned. He couldn't help but say, this, how are we going to pass through the hidden door? Jean Diaz said, don't worry about that. Afong has a way to take them away. Ishanel didn't understand, but he didn't ask about it anymore. He knew that Lei Xingfeng wouldn't say anything. He stood up and said, all right, if that's the case, I'll take care of it. I'll report back in a few days. Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, go. After Ishanel left, Jean Diaz said, Afong, you don't plan to let normal people pass, right? Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, just leave them in the mirror realm. Why should we let them take the risk? Even if we go, there won't be many people in front of everyone. We don't know much about the situation now, so this is the only way. Jean Dia, Tiger Love, and Mad Eagle all understood that with the mirror realm, as long as Lei Xingfeng had complete control, their bloodline would be safe. Developing and strengthening would be no problem. The whole family was in chaos. All kinds of orders were given, and people were quickly mobilized. As time passed, all kinds of resources were collected. Most of the resources were brought back in the Hidden Land space. As for the livestock, they were all in the farm outside. Lei Xingfeng was also preparing. When groups of normal people arrived, he immediately sent them into the mirror realm. Chapter 382. The entire mirror realm was now covered in dark green. The trees were 2 to 3 meters tall, and there were several rivers. When ordinary people entered, the entire mirror realm was filled with vitality. A large number of livestock were brought into the mirror realm, as well as various construction materials. Some of the guards also entered the mirror realm. Of course, they did not know where they were going. Lei Xingfeng did not explain either. There were all kinds of methods and mysteries in this world, and not everyone could understand them. Only those who were close to Lei Xingfeng knew how powerful Lei Xingfeng was now. He was only in the next realm, but he had unparalleled strength. Of the normal people who entered the realm, there were people from the 4 villages that entered, each village having around 400 people, which was around 1,700 to 800 people that entered the realm. Many of them knew various skills, such as construction, carpentry, and blacksmithing, as well as herding and farming. These were all people gathered from the outside world. Most of them were the family members of practitioners, people that relied on Exine Feng to survive. Cows, sheep, chickens, ducks, and animals from all over the world, such as blue sheep, could all be farmed. Some cultivators even organized people to dig a few huge ponds in the mirror realm to breed all kinds of fish and shrimps, reclaim wasteland, and grow food and vegetables. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, Jean Depang, Ishanel, and the others all left the secret treasure space. Their tasks were very complicated and had to be completed within a certain time limit. 10 days later, Lei Xingfeng also left the secret treasure space. Lei Xingfeng collected a large number of ancient trees from the barbarian gathering continent and transplanted them into the mirror realm. In addition, he also brought in a herd of bulls. Bulls were a good source of meat and Lei Xingfeng's favorite food. He did not know when he would return, so he brought in a herd of bulls. There were about 300 of them. Lei Xingfeng's mission was to search for supplies and living creatures. Of course, it would be even better if he could find Elder Thunderstorm. However, he knew in his heart that this was basically impossible. This world was very big. Wanting to find a person was like looking for a needle in a haystack. This world had the barbarian gathering continent, the Wansi continent, the Ghana continent, and the Hui continent. It was quite rich in resources, but it had a big flaw. It was extremely lacking in materials and resources that cultivators needed. This was a good place for ordinary people to live, but it was definitely not a paradise for cultivators. If the secret sects did not have the means to go to the outside world, they would gradually decline. This great migration was also an opportunity for all cultivators. At the same time, it was also an opportunity for the secret sects to develop. Therefore, every cultivator who knew the actual situation would work hard to fight for it. Other than collecting living resources, Lei Xingfeng also took the scattered cultivators from the liaison offices with him. These were all cultivators who relied on him. As for the liaison offices, he did not abolish them. Instead, he appointed ordinary people to take up the posts. The yin rings could be exchanged for large amounts of gold and silver rings, so there was no need to worry about money. Every liaison office had a large amount of funds. Their mission was to find children with potential for cultivation and send them to the designated office. There would still be people there to teach the children how to cultivate. When the children reached a certain level, they would then be recommended. In the future, even if Lei Xingfeng returned, it would be to take in new cultivators. Although the secret sects did not give up on this place, it was no longer important. After running around for dozens of days, he collected a large amount of supplies. Many of them were living creatures, from animals to plants. All kinds of things were stored in the mirror world. There were many ordinary people in the mirror world. If he needed them to manage something, he just had to go in and say it. Lei Xingfeng also planted some pitch ebony. These were the seeds he collected in the past. He tried to plant them in the mirror world. There were many similar plants planted in the mirror world. Among them, he set up 2 special plantations to cultivate rare medicinal plants. Finally, Lei Xingfeng stopped. Time was running out. He used the ancient Luan passage and quickly returned to his secret space. When he returned to his courtyard, Jean Daya and the others were all waiting for him. Lei Xingfeng smiled and asked, "Is it done?" Jean Depang was the first to answer. A phone, a letter came. Lei Xiaomei's secret sect still has people guarding it. However, Lei Xiaomei has already gone to the Dawn continent. They promised to send the old man there when he returns. Lei Xingfeng let out a breath of relief and said happily, "That's great. Xiaomei's secret sect is stronger than ours. They have enough people to take turns. We can't do anything about it. We have too few people." Jean Depang nodded and said, "I heard that many secret sects will go there this time. They're all empty. Hee. I heard that many secret sects have closed. No one will stay here anymore." Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, Jean Daya, and Ishanel reported their completed missions. With such a long time, it was enough for them to complete these simple tasks. Xian Feng began to move the people and resources he had prepared into the mirror dimension, including the guards, servants, and apprentices. Clothing, food, shelter, and transportation were all built in the mirror world. Although the missions were not complicated, they were extremely trivial. Ishanel and Jean Depang also entered the mirror world. Only Jean Daya, Mad Eagle, Tiger Love, and the Blackbird remained. This guy refused to enter the mirror world. It liked to stand on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder. It had a wide field of vision and was convenient for chatting. As long as Lei Xingfeng ate, it would eat as well. It would not give up such a precious place no matter what. Jean Daya said, "A phone. You're only bringing the 3 of us?" Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "Yes, just the 3 of us. Including me, the 4 of us." Tiger Love smiled bitterly and said, "How do you explain the others?" Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "I don't need to explain. And I will tell the founder." Jean Daya said, "About the mirror world?" Lei Xingfeng shook his head and said, "Let's not talk about the mirror world for now. Don't worry, just follow me. Don't worry about anything else." Mad Eagle said, "In any case, you appear and disappear mysteriously. And if you don't want to explain, then don't explain. As long as you can handle it, it's fine." He said irresponsibly. Lei Xingfeng said, "Is everyone ready?" Jean Daya and the rest nodded and followed Xian Feng out of the courtyard. There were only a few normal people guarding this house. After cleaning it up, it would be a long time before anyone would come to live here. When they arrived at Wu Yang's house, there were many people in the second group. Most of them were those who had requested to go after the first group. There were also a few direct disciples, including Tung Yuan, Miao Ling, Yu Ko, and Lei Xingfeng. The other disciples had already gone. The first group included the Gucci couple and Feng Qinzong's junior martial uncle. There were about 500 people in this group. Wu Yang's courtyard was filled with people. Lei Xingfeng led Jean Daya and the others in. The crowd immediately parted to form a path. Lei Xingfeng's position in the hidden sect was extremely high. No one in the courtyard had a higher position than him. Wu Yang had to use the sky divination crystal to open the door and enter the Dawn continent. Without it, even if he opened the door, he wouldn't be able to bear the cost of rings. The Dawn continent was closer to the outer realm than the outer realm. With his sky divination crystal, he could barely open the door, but it would cost him a lot of rings. With the sky divination crystal, it was much easier. This was also why so many people could be moved over. Almost half of the cultivators had already gone. Of course, there was still a limit to the number of people. They couldn't bring everyone. These people had to pay Wu Yang. Therefore, each disciple had to think about how many people to bring. If the number of people was small, the harvest in the Dawn continent would be small. The treasures on the ground would need people to pick them up. If there were no people, they could only watch others make a fortune. Bringing people over now was also a kind of investment. Lei Xingfeng observed and said, "They have to be enlightened masters with at least 3 rings or higher." Jean Dias said, "That's normal. There's a limit to the number of people, so we have to bring experts. Normal people don't have a chance." Wu Yang had already opened the door, and groups of people walked in. Lei Xingfeng led Jean Dia and the other 2 and cut the line. With his status, he didn't need to wait in line. Also, because of the opening of the door, Wu Yang still felt a certain amount of pressure. He didn't care at all and just kept urging, "Quick, quick, don't stop." Lei Xingfeng came to the door and nodded at Wu Yang. He walked through the door with Jean Dia and the other 2 following closely behind. Wu Yang was slightly surprised, but he didn't say anything. He found this precious disciple and brought them over. He didn't have time to think. He urged the people behind, "Hurry up. Don't stop." Lei Xingfeng stepped out and quickly came out from the other side of the door. He saw Gucci smiling and saying, "Don't block the way. Hurry up." Gucci led Feng Qinzong, Yuko, and Xi and Jialuan to personally welcome the people who came over. Lei Xingfeng quickly walked a few steps and saw Xi and Jialuan standing to the side. He smiled and said, "Senior brother, what do you think of this place?" Xi and Jialuan said, "Take a look for yourself. It's a very interesting place." Yuko had nothing to do and was looking at the people coming out of the door. He saw Lei Xingfeng talking to Xi and Jialuan and immediately went over. He laughed and said, "A phone. Why did you only bring 3 people?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Can I?" Yuko said, "Don't be so stingy with rings. It's inconvenient with so few people. We still have to build a house. No matter what, we have to bring all the guards. We're in the inner circle, so it's not a big problem. But if we go out without a certain number of guards, it'll be troublesome." Lei Xingfeng said, "What's so troublesome about it?" Yuko said, "There are natives everywhere outside. They're definitely not friendly. They kill as soon as they see them. There's no way to communicate with them. If you're not careful, you'll be surrounded." During this time, many sages from the various sects have died, including many 9th ring sages. Xi and Jialuan said, "I heard that more than 30 9th ring sages have died. The sects have given orders not to go out if they're not confident." Yuko said with disdain, "This order is bullshit. There are so many good things out there. How can they stop people from going out?" Lei Xingfeng looked around. This was a forest. A large piece of land had been cleared out. There were very simple wooden houses and all kinds of tents. There was a river on the side of the land. They could see a mountain range in the distance. The mountain range was very tall. The peak was visible above the clouds. He said, "Holy shit, what mountain is that? Why is it so tall?" Chapter 383. Xi and Jialuan said, "The sky-severing mountain range is a place where birds can't cross. There are great snow apes on the mountain. It's said that they're as strong as 9th ring sage, and the scariest thing about them is that they come in groups. It's a piece of cake for 100 of them to come out at once." Lei Xingfeng asked, "You've seen them before?" Xi and Jialuan said, "How could I have? Maybe I'll go in the future, but not now. If I go, I'll be courting death." Jean Dia asked, "Are we staying here?" Xi and Jialuan said, "No, we still have to walk a bit. Our base has a small mountain range in this direction." He pointed behind Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng turned around. Sure enough, there was a mountain range on the other side of the river, but the slope was very small. It was more like a hilly area, and there was also a dense forest. Mad Eagle exclaimed, "So this is the Dawn Continent?" Xin Zhaoluan nodded. "Yes, we were also shocked when we first arrived. There are all kinds of materials in the forest, and some of them are precious herbs. It said that there are all kinds of mineral resources buried underground." Lei Xingfeng looked carefully. Sure enough, there was a faint light on the ground. He couldn't see this in his hometown. However, Xian Feng quickly noticed that the light emitted from the ground was extremely faint, which meant that there was a mineral deposit underground, but it wasn't anything precious. After so many years of searching, he had long understood that only when there was an intense light or an intense colored light would it mean that there was something good. 2 hours later, Wu Yang appeared. He closed the secret door and said, "All right, we'll return in half a year. Everyone, return to the base." Most of the cultivators who came were sixth ring sages and above, so they didn't need a ferry and flew directly to the base. Those who couldn't fly were pulled across the river by their companions. Because everyone had their own hidden Luan space, they all stored their things in it. A large group of people went back to the base empty-handed, chatting and laughing. The trees on the hillside had been cleared. Simple wooden houses were built on the hillside, and a small river flowed below. Because Lei Xingfeng was a direct disciple, he was given a small mountain. It wasn't very big, just one mountain. Yuko, as the senior, purposely brought Lei Xingfeng to the mountain. He said, "This is for you." Lei Xingfeng pointed at the mountain. "This one, you said, you can build a better house. If, of course, it'll be in half a year. Wait, then you can build a better house. Of course, if you want to ask your senior brothers and sisters for help, you." Xingfeng, he didn't care at all. He had the mirror realm, so he didn't need to live on some mountain. He could enter the mirror realm at night. The construction had already begun. Inside the mirror realm, all of Lei Xingfeng's disciples were present. In addition, there were 1,600 ordinary people. The first thing to do was to build Lei Xingfeng's house. After so many days, it should be almost done. Currently, the number of steel dolls that had been repaired was close to 1,000. There were also hundreds of metal spiders. There were also some dolls for other purposes. For example, there were dolls for scouting. They looked similar to metal spiders, but were only the size of a fist. They were excellent for scouting and scouting. With the mirror realm, Lei Xingfeng's mobility, defense, and ability to dodge attacks were greatly enhanced. After Yuko left, Lei Xingfeng laughed. "Let's build the simplest wooden hut. At least we have a place to sit." Hee hee. Lei Xingfeng casually scattered a dozen or so dolls. The fist-sized metal spiders crawled all over the place. Jean Dia was dumbfounded. He didn't know there was such a thing. "What are these things?" he asked. Mad Eagle said, "They're very cute little things. They look like spiders. Their colors change according to the environment." Lei Xingfeng giggled. "These are good things. I found more than 200 of them. They can be used for scouting and warning. They're pretty good dolls. Well, to be more precise, they're dolls' bugs." Jean Dia and the other two squatted on the ground and studied the dolls for a while. They watched as the dolls' bugs quickly scattered into the forest. Lei Xingfeng laughed. "All right, let's build a wooden hut first. We'll do it ourselves. We have some ready-made ones. All we need to do is set them up." Jean Dia took out a few 5-meter-long wooden stakes. He flew into the air and stabbed them into the ground. Just like that, the 5-meter-long stakes were inserted more than a meter deep into the ground. Mad Eagle helped him erect the stakes. Jean Dia quickly pressed down on the top of the stakes and inserted them into the ground one by one. Then, the ready-made wooden hut was set up and fixed with steel nails. In about 10 minutes, a large wooden hut was completed. Then, a small wooden hut was quickly erected. Everything had been prepared beforehand. All they had to do was set it up. Tiger Love took out 2 large wooden tables and placed a few chairs. "Done. Don't tell anyone. We don't have a house to live in." Mad Eagle said, "Living in a wooden hut isn't a problem. It's not like we haven't lived outdoors before." Lei Xingfeng said, "Why wouldn't we live in a good place? Let's go." With a wave of his hand, the 4 of them disappeared and entered the mirror realm. Jean Dia looked at the almost completed house and laughed. That's fast, Ishanel said. It's almost done, but it's ready for people to live in. He didn't know that this was the mirror realm. The only thing he knew was that this place was similar to the secret chamber. Since Lei Xingfeng didn't say explicitly, he didn't ask. Lei Xingfeng said, "Is everything arranged?" Ishanel said, "The manor is being built. It will be completed in about 10 days. Now, we're all living in tents. Fortunately, there's not much rain here, so we don't have to work too hard. The supplies are also well prepared." Jean Depang ran out and laughed. "Oh, you're finally here. This place is really good. I planted some vegetables, and they're growing very well. They're even better than the secret chamber." Lei Xingfeng laughed. "Of course. Unfortunately, I'm still a sage, not a monarch. I can't fully control this thing. I can only accept it passively. I can't even open the secret door." Jean Depang said, it's okay. I believe that a phone will become a monarch soon." Jean Dia laughed. "If a phone becomes a monarch, a Feng's senior brothers and sisters will suffer. A phone is the youngest junior brother. Hee. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were excited. Mad Eagle said, "We watched a phone grow up. In the blink of an eye, a phone will become a monarch and surpass us." Tiger Love said, "This is why you can become a guard, and a phone can become a direct disciple. Our talents are too different. We can forget about becoming a monarch in this lifetime. However, I'm satisfied. It's worth it to follow a monarch for the rest of my life." Lei Xingfeng said, "I'm not satisfied with becoming a monarch. I want to become a heaven monarch, and then a Dao monarch in the future." Jean Dia and the others laughed. They were very confident that Lei Xingfeng would become a monarch. However, they weren't sure if he could become a heaven monarch, let alone a Dao monarch. That was too difficult. Wu Yang was still standing at the peak of the heaven monarch realm after so many years. No one knew when he could become a Dao monarch. The difficulty of this was unimaginable. However, the three praised Lei Xingfeng's confidence. Having a goal was better than not having one. Even if Lei Xingfeng couldn't reach it, it wasn't a big deal. Jean Depang said, "Are you hungry? I'll go get something to eat." Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. With Jean Depang around, he really didn't have to worry about food. This guy was always ready. He said, "Okay, let's eat and leave. We'll go out and find out more about the situation." Jean Depang quickly prepared a table full of food. Everyone finished eating quickly. Blackbird also ate a plate of fresh meat. Lei Xingfeng and the others left the mirror realm and went to the wooden shed outside. Soon, there was a rustling sound on the ground. The little bug quickly crawled back. Lei Xingfeng quickly put it away and said, "No one came." Jean Dia said, "They're all busy with their own things. Of course, they don't have time to come." Lei Xingfeng said, "Let's go. We'll go to the ancestral master's place to find out more about the situation. I didn't find anything special here. Although the resources here are rich, it's not amazing. Maybe it's different outside." Tiger Love said, "A phone, you guys go. I'll wait here for you guys to come back." Lei Xingfeng said with a smile, "You're alone. You might as well go back to the mirror realm." Tiger Love said, "It's okay. I'll stay here for the time being to prevent others from occupying this place. Well, I'll go to other places when I have time. Maybe I can find some information." Lei Xingfeng thought about it and said, "Okay, Uncle Jean, Uncle Ing, let's go." Jean Dia said, "Okay, Old Ing, let's go together." The three of them quickly flew up and flew outside. Lei Xingfeng came to Gucci's residence. It was a two-story wooden building by the river. There was a large wooden platform on the second floor. Although the construction was quite rough, it was big enough for dozens of people to gather without feeling crowded. Lei Xingfeng led Jean Dia and Mad Eagle to the platform. Gucci and Wu Yang were sitting on the platform. Xi and Jiaoluan and Qi Meiyan were also there. Seeing Lei Xingfeng land, Xi and Jiaoluan said with a smile, "I was right. I knew Junior Brother would come." Jean Dia and Mad Eagle knew that they were not qualified to be on the platform. They bowed slightly and turned to land on the ground. There was a group of guards chatting there. The two of them could go and find out some information. Lei Xingfeng came to Xi and Jiaoluan's side and said with a smile, "Grandmaster, Master, senior brother, senior sister, senior brother. Wuyong nodded. Gucci said with a smile, "Sit. We just arrived here, and everything is very simple. But we cultivators shouldn't care. This is just a place for us to stay. In the future, we will occupy the places we need. For now, we still need the protection of the restrictions here." Lei Xingfeng said, "Master, how long will we stay here? Are we not going back?" "We won't go back for now," Gucci said. "After your Grandmaster and I advance, we'll open up our own territory. This is a primitive desert, but it has countless treasures. This is a chance for the hidden sect to develop. If we don't grab hold of it, we'll be eliminated quickly. Also, you brothers have to hurry up and advance as well. Ninth Ring Sage, your strength is still far from enough. You have to at least become a monarch to be able to move freely." Chapter 384. Wuyong said, "The place we're really exploring is not the Dawn continent, but the extraterritorial starry sky. Only those with the strength of a true monarch can enter the extraterritorial starry sky from here. Therefore, the extraterritorial starry sky is the place we're really looking for." Lei Xingfeng was puzzled. "Aren't we looking for resources first?" Wuyong shook his head. "No, actually, we have enough resources. Do you know what we're really lacking?" Xi and Jiaolin asked. "What?" Wuyong said, "Cultivation methods, weapon refinement, restriction formation, and usage. We're lacking a lot. The extraterritorial starry sky is a huge treasure trove, especially the various forbidden areas. There are all kinds of things we need there. It depends on whether we have the ability to obtain them." Gucci sighed. After a while, he said, "It's too dangerous." Wuyong said, "Of course it's dangerous. How can it not be dangerous? It's because it's dangerous that we have to work hard to enter. Even if we die, I don't care." Gucci said, "Master, I know how you feel, but it's better for us to remain cautious. I know that there are countless good things in the forbidden areas, especially the great forbidden areas. However, we need strength. Before you become a Dao monarch, it's really not suitable for us to enter the great forbidden areas. The truly good things were all in the forbidden grounds. This was something that only the higher-ups of the secret sect knew. Even Exinfeng knew, but it was extremely difficult to obtain them. It wasn't just empty talk. One had to take the risk with real swords and spears, and if one wasn't careful, one might die or be trapped inside." Wuyong sighed and said, "I understand, but time waits for no one. If our secret sects don't develop, we'll be completely finished." Xi and Jiaolin said, "No way. Although our secret sects aren't the strongest, we're not weak either." Lei Xingfeng also nodded. "Yes, founder, we're not weak." Wuyong looked into the distance. After a while, he said faintly, "Did you know? A Dao monarch ancestor of the secret sects broke through and entered a realm that even I don't know. It's very terrifying. He obtained the cultivation method from the great forbidden areas." Everyone was shocked. A Dao monarch was already an unattainable existence. What realm was he in breaking through to? It sounded terrifying. Wuyong said, "This place was contributed by that terrifying expert. He said that he shared this place with the secret sections and collected all materials and ores. And if we can find what he needs, he will provide us with a very special item that can rapidly increase our strength." Exinfeng reacted quickly. "Something like the Yin Ring?" Wuyong revealed a look of admiration. "Yes, it's called a holy ring. A holy ring is enough for a ninth ring sage to become a monarch. It also ignores one's aptitude. Of course, it's only effective once. If we use it, we can increase our strength, but we can't overcome the difference in realms. In other words, I can't become a Dao monarch with a holy ring. Ignoring one's aptitude, this thing was simply too heaven-defying." Lei Xingfeng laughed bitterly. "This makes us. How can we endure this? Sigh, I worked so hard to gather so many materials and made countless preparations, but a holy ring solved everything. This is too much." Wuyong said, "No, it's not the same. You definitely can't use the holy ring. You have to rely on your own strength to ascend. Otherwise, your potential will be exhausted. It's similar to the yin ring. Although your strength increases quickly, it has a great impact on your body. Moreover, holy rings aren't that easy to obtain. Lei Xingfeng said, "What's above Tao Monarch? A divine monarch?" Wu Yang said, "No, they can't be considered gods. At most, they're saints. A divine monarch? I don't know either. There doesn't seem to be a unified name yet. Only one person has ascended to this level. Currently, as far as I know, there isn't a second person who has ascended to this level." A hint of excitement and anticipation appeared on his face. Lei Xingfeng said, "I think the hidden sex patriarchs are going crazy." Wu Yang and Gucci both laughed. Wu Yang nodded and said, "Isn't that so? Even if that person ascends to a new level, he can't hide the truth from everyone. This is what everyone agrees. After all, he's just ascended. Even if he's stronger than Tao monarchs and can fight 2 or 3 of them, he definitely won't be able to defeat 5 or 6 of them." Lei Xingfeng said, "He just doesn't have the time. If he did, he might be able to defeat 5 or 6 Tao monarch patriarchs." Wu Yang said, "That's why I'm anxious. That's why most of our hidden sects migrated here. Everyone knows that if we can't reach this level, we'll be eliminated and marginalized. We have to keep up to survive." Xi and Jiaoluan, Qi Meiyun, and Lei Xingfeng didn't look too good. This wasn't just talk. It required action and results. Lei Xingfeng finally understood why so many hidden sects migrated and why the higher-ups of the hidden sects were so uneasy. If they didn't advance, they would be eliminated. For the hidden sects, this was a reshuffling of the cards. Lei Xingfeng's hidden sect was originally slightly inferior to the top hidden sects because they lacked a Tao monarch to oversee their hidden sect. It wasn't that their hidden sect didn't have a Tao monarch, but Wu Yang's master had long disappeared. Even if Wu Yang successfully ascended this time, Wu Yang's hidden sect was still not a top hidden sect due to the appearance of cultivators more powerful than Tao monarchs. This sense of crisis filled the hearts of the hidden sect's disciples, and the higher-ups of the hidden sects felt even more threatened. Wu Yang said, "Everyone, hurry up. We'll use this time to build our hidden sects camp. In addition, we need to prepare our manpower and head to the outer realms soon. Even if we don't explore the forbidden areas, we need to familiarize ourselves with the outer realms and establish a bridgehead and outpost. We need to be prepared." Lei Xingfeng wasn't surprised. Wu Yang's logic was simple. The Dawn continent wasn't important. The reason they migrated to this continent was because it was easy to enter the outer realms. Originally, the threshold to enter the outer realms was too high. It required a Tao monarch's hidden sect and countless yin rings. Even a heavenly monarch wouldn't be able to afford this amount of yin rings. Now that he had the coordinates of the Dawn continent, Wu Yang had a springboard that would allow him to smoothly enter the outer realms. This was what he truly needed. As for the rich resources of the Dawn continent, Wu Yang didn't care about them at all. After all, no matter how many precious resources there were, if you couldn't use them, then they were nothing. Wu Yang saw this very clearly. Therefore, Wu Yang didn't even mention leaving the safe zone. Even if it cost a lot of yin rings to stay here, Wu Yang wouldn't lose out. Most importantly, if they could obtain a cultivation technique from the extraterritorial starry sky, then everything would be worth it. Therefore, from the very beginning, the Dawn continent wasn't Wu Yang and Guqi's goal. The extraterritorial starry sky's great forbidden land was their goal. Wu Yang said, "All right, you guys are dismissed. A Feng stay." Xi and Jiaoluan and Qi Meiyun were already used to their ancestors' favoritism. The corners of their mouths twitched. Then they left the platform and returned to their respective residences. Guqi said, "A Feng, why did you only bring 3 people this time?" Lei Xingfeng didn't expect to be noticed by the elders. He said, "There are quite a few people." He was conflicted. Should he tell his master and ancestor that he had obtained the mirror realm? Lei Xingfeng's education in his past life made him very cautious. He knew that when the benefits reached a certain level, who knew what would happen? This was especially true when the other party was much stronger than him. Although he was very close to his master and ancestor, he still didn't dare to try. Lei Xingfeng didn't dare test his master and ancestor's character. If he failed, then it wouldn't just be a matter of heartbreak. Gritting his teeth, Lei Xingfeng swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Wu Yang said, "This time I'm going to build an outpost in outer space. Come with me. I'll bring some people with me." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "No problem. Just me?" Wu Yang smiled. "There's no limit this time. Haha, I'll bring Feng Qinzong and Yuko. There'll be about 100 people." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "All right. If you want to go, then call me." "Yes, I'll bring Uncle Jean and the others." Wu Yang said, "All right, then that's it. You go build your own residence. If you don't have enough people, then ask your seniors for help." Lei Xingfeng smiled. "No need. I've already built it." Gucci was shocked. "That's fast. You just arrived. How can you be so fast?" Lei Xingfeng said, "I've already built it. I just need to put it together. It's all ready-made. Plus, I'm just building a simple residence. There's no need to make such a big fuss." Gucci smiled. "Smart. Go. When the time comes, we'll leave. Rest for a few days." Lei Xingfeng stood up and said goodbye. After saying goodbye, Lei Xingfeng brought Jean Daya and Mad Eagle back to the small mountain where they lived. Sitting down in the wooden hut, Lei Xingfeng sighed. Jean Daya said, "A phone, what's wrong?" Lei Xingfeng said, "I hid the fact that I obtained the mirror realm." Jean Daya nodded. "Yes, I understand." Mad Eagle said, "That means you have to reach Monarch as soon as possible. Otherwise, it'll be difficult." Tiger Love said, "Yes. Only by controlling the mirror realm can I not be afraid of telling others." Lei Xingfeng was distressed, but he still insisted on hiding it. He didn't dare to challenge the bottom line of his elders. The mirror realm could be plundered. As long as one reached Monarch, it couldn't be plundered. The use of the mirror realm was too great, especially in the exploration of the Great Forbidden Land. Simply put, most of the experts who entered the Great Forbidden Land were not killed by the restrictions, but were trapped to death by the restrictions. With the mirror realm, no restrictions could trap them. They could leave and stay as they wished. They could even return to the same place repeatedly. Jean Dias said, "If you want to advance, I think it's better to go back. There's no stamp here." Xian Feng shook his head. He was greatly influenced by the old man Lei Bao. He agreed with the old man Lei Bao's philosophy. That was the best place for lightning attributed practitioners to level up was in a thunderstorm. Relying on the natural large thunderstorm, leveling up should be easier. Chapter 385. The materials had been prepared and refined, ready to be used at any time. He also had an idea of how to advance, but Lei Xingfeng wasn't sure. He had seen Feng Qinzong advance, and it was extremely difficult. He didn't know what it would be like when he advanced. Xian Feng sighed. To find a large thunderstorm, it's best if it lasts for a long time. That's too hard. Jean Dia laughed. "Don't worry, there will always be one." Mad Eagle said, "That's true. I'm just King curious. It's really hard to find a thunderstorm weather, but I always feel that if we don't look for it, it will appear at any time." He had once accompanied Lei Xingfeng to find a thunderstorm weather. It was really difficult. Tiger Love also said, yeah. In my life, I've seen countless thunderstorms, but ever since I met a Feng, I rarely see one. Strange, a Feng. Do you have a grudge against thunderstorms? Xian Feng also felt that it was funny. Not counting his previous life, in this life, in order to find a suitable thunderstorm day, he had gone to many places, but there were very few that satisfied him. However, even so, he had quickly become a ninth-ringed true sage. If he had trained normally, he would at most be a third or fourth-ringed true sage, and definitely wouldn't have reached his current level. So, finding a thunderstorm had always been Lei Xingfeng's wish. Unfortunately, even if he saw a thunderstorm or natural lightning, it would be difficult for him to use it. Because he was now a ninth-ring sage, normal thunderstorm weather was useless. What he needed was a thunderstorm weather for a long time. Only then could he absorb it and advance. Lei Xingfeng understood the danger. If he thought it was a thunderstorm weather, and the thunderstorm suddenly stopped at a critical moment, then he would be caught unprepared. He might even die without a burial place. So, He absolutely needed time to observe and not rush to advance. Jean Dias said, "Don't worry too much. There's always a way." Mad Eagle also comforted him. "Yeah, the more places you go, the more you know. You can always find a suitable place to advance. Although it's a bit difficult, it won't make you despair." Lei Xingfeng agreed. "Yeah, I believe there's such a place. It's just that we don't know about it. It will appear." He could still vaguely remember that there was a place in his previous life where lightning flashed and thunder rumbled frequently. He did not believe that he would not be able to find such a place in this life. One had to know that the places he could go now were much more than in his previous life. This was not just one world. Blacks also said, "There'll be thunder. I'm confident." This sentence immediately made the three of them laugh, and the oppressive atmosphere was swept away. The blackbird said resentfully, "What are you laughing at? Am I wrong? Gah." Xian Feng laughed. "Right, you're right. I'll take advantage of your auspicious words. I hope I can find such a treasure land where the thunderstorms will never stop." Blackbird raised his head and shouted, "Thunder! Thunder! Gaga!" Everyone was speechless. After a while, Lei Xingfeng said, "That's enough thunder." He thought this bird is crazy sometimes. Jean Dias said, "You can't go in when there's a real thunderstorm. With your small body, you'll be struck to death by lightning." Blacks was very unconvinced. "Nonsense. God, I'm powerful. You can't imagine it. This bird is a rare lightning attribute bird. How can it be struck to death by lightning? Don't think before you speak. I despise you. God." Jean Dia was never a match for blacks. Except for Lei Xingfeng, who could suppress it. Anyone who bickered with blacks would eventually lose. There was no other way. You can't take a bird seriously. Regardless of whether you win or lose, it's not glorious. Seeing that blacks was about to start again, Jean Dia raised his hand. Okay. You're good. Very good." Blacks was just about to spit out a large amount of venom. In the end, the opponent directly admitted defeat. It was so stifled that it jumped on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder. Why didn't he let the bird show off? This Jean Dia was too bad. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love couldn't stop laughing. For some reason, Jean Dia and Jean Depang especially liked to provoke blacks. Moreover, blacks especially fond of attacking the two of them. It was really poisonous. It often made Jean Dia and Jean Depang speechless. Jean Dia had a psychological shadow. Once Black's saliva started to spit, he would immediately admit defeat. He realized that this was the only way to make Black's unhappy. Black's extremely unhappy. It was so anxious that it stomped its feet. It wanted Jean Dia to talk back so that it could freely spit at Jean Dia. In fact, it didn't care about winning or losing. It just wanted to have a channel to vent. However, Jean Dia's admission of defeat made it extremely unhappy. Blacks anxiously said, "Gah, you are too bad. Gah, you can't play with birds like this." Puffed. Lei Xingfeng and Mad Eagle couldn't hold back and suddenly burst out laughing. Play with birds? Wasn't it just playing with birds? Jean Dia was very aggrieved. "Burbewed, I've already admitted defeat. Don't pester me. We have a good relationship, right?" He tried to get closer to Blacks. Black stifled jumped on Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and suddenly said, You, shameless. You are despicable. God, you're too bad. You bully birds. You play with birds." Jean Dia turned and walked away. "What's so fun about you? What's there to bully?" Lei Xingfeng, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love were all laughing. This Blacks was too funny. Blacks also knew that it was absolutely impossible to continue spitting saliva today. It said depressed. Boring, God, they're all bad people. Bullying birds. After it finished speaking, it hid its head in its wings. This was its usual practice. As long as it hid its head in its wings, all its troubles would vanish. Lei Xingfeng sat in a daze. The pressure of advancing had never been so great. This made him very irritable and uneasy. In order to not let Lei Xingfeng think too much, Jean Dia changed the topic and said, "Right, what are the natives outside the Dawn continent called?" Lei Xingfeng said, "The Antari. Brown skin, white hair, thin and weak. Their methods are unknown. They are very strong and cannot be communicated with. They kill on sight. This is the only impression I have. Of course, this is what the ancestors said. I have never seen it with my own eyes. Jean Diaz said, yes, I heard that there are many of them. Lei Xingfeng said, yes, but we don't have to face them for now. We will go to outer space soon. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love's jaws dropped. They didn't know that Wu Yang wanted to take Lei Xingfeng to outer space. This place also attracted the three. The reason why Ninth Ring sages couldn't go was because of the danger, but also because they couldn't afford to spend rings. The cost was too great. It wasn't something a Ninth Ring sage could bear. After a while, Mad Eagle said, really? Why are we going to outer space all of a sudden? Lei Xingfeng said, the ancestors' orders. Yes, the ancestors are going too. It is to build an outpost. Jean Dia still didn't believe it. He said, we're going to? Lei Xingfeng nodded. Let's go together. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love all cheered. The blackbird couldn't help but stick its head out and say, don't be so surprised, country bumpkin. Lei Xingfeng said, holy shit, Bude, who taught you to say all this? Country bumpkin? Sigh. He didn't know what to say. The blackbird combed Lei Xingfeng's hair and said flatteringly, it's all because you taught me well, sir. Caw-caw, it's just a subtle influence, caw-caw. Lei Xingfeng was stunned. He said, when did I teach you all this? Why didn't I know? The blackbird laughed dryly and quickly hid its head in its wings. What else could it say? Playing dead was the only way out. Jean Dia laughed bitterly. I'm really a country bumpkin. Haha, Bude has been to outer space. We've only heard about it. They were despised by a bird, but Jean Dia and the other two had long been used to it. If the blackbird said something good, then it most likely had something to ask, or was its rice master. Otherwise, there would be no good words coming out of its mouth. At first, when Lei Xingfeng adopted the blackbird, it was fine. As time passed, the blackbird's performance became more and more despicable. Lei Xingfeng said, ignore it, it's a despicable bird. The blackbird moved its body, but its head was still hidden under its wings. In fact, it wanted to refute, but its boss had spoken. It had no choice but to swallow its anger. Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love all nodded fiercely. They agreed with Lei Xingfeng's words. The blackbird was despicable. It was definitely a despicable bird. The blackbird was depressed. It could only say a few words to bully birds in its heart. Lei Xingfeng said, the outer space is very big. I don't know where we landed this time. Fortunately, the founder is here. It shouldn't be a big problem. Jean Dias said, we're going to outer space. Other than building an outpost, what else can we do? Lei Xingfeng laughed. I don't know. I guess we'll have to go to the forbidden area. But I guess you can only defend the outpost. You probably won't be able to join the exploration activities. Jean Dia, Tiger Love, and Mad Eagle's faces suddenly turned bitter. If they couldn't join the operation, what was the point of going? Lei Xingfeng laughed. It's good to see it. As for the Dawn continent, after I advance, it'll be enough for us to explore. And I can take you with me. Jean Dia nodded. Okay, you're the master. You have the final say. Lei Xingfeng said, let's go back to the Mirror Realm first. There wasn't much to do outside, but there were many things that required his command inside the Mirror Realm. Jean Dia and the other two nodded and followed Lei Xingfeng into the Mirror Realm. A few days later, Wu Yang gathered Feng Qinzong, Yuko, and Lei Xingfeng. There were also more than 100 sages. Even the weakest of them had sixth ring sages. This was equivalent to taking an eighth of the camp's manpower. Only the Gucci couple and the other disciples of the secret sects were left at the camp on the Dawn continent. This time, 2 secret gates were opened. Wu Yang and Feng Qinzong both opened their gates. The two of them used the same coordinates, so even if there was a gap, it wouldn't be too far. The gate opened. Wu Yang said, let's go. At a certain point in outer space, less than a kilometer apart, 2 secret gates appeared at the same time. The illusory gate appeared abruptly. It was about 2 meters above the ground. As the illusory gate gradually solidified, a figure appeared in the gate frame. Chapter 386. More and more people came out of the secret doors. It took a few minutes for more than 100 people to come out of the two doors. Soon, the doors disappeared. Lei Xingfeng looked around and said, "Grandmaster, this isn't where we came last time." Wu Yang nodded. "I spent a lot of materials to get this set of coordinates. This is a very safe place. Of course, we won't build an outpost here. We need to find our own secret door opening point. We won't be using this place in the future." Feng Qinzong said, "Master, where should we go?" Wu Yang took out a star python record and looked at it carefully. "North. Try not to fly here. It's too dangerous. If we accidentally run into a forbidden area, we'll be in big trouble. We'll walk." Feng Qinzong agreed. He was now second only to Wu Yang, so he was the one in command. The one assisting him was AI-8. These 100 people could be considered the elites of Wu Yang's secret door. The weakest was a 6th ring sage, and they could all fly. Their strength wasn't too bad. At least if they encountered an ambush, they could defend themselves. They weren't like low-level cultivators who couldn't fight back at all. A few 9th ring sages led the way. According to Wu Yang's instructions, they cut through all obstacles. There was no road here, nor were there any traces left by intelligent life. It was a very primitive environment. Even if there were traces left by humans, they would be covered by dense trees and weeds. The two 9th ring sages at the front each had a giant 3-meter-long machete. According to Lei Xingfeng's understanding, this was a large green dragon crescent blade. Of course, it wasn't as beautiful as the green dragon crescent blade. It was just a steel rod with a rectangular steel bar in front and a blade on one side. This wasn't a weapon for fighting. It was just a machete for clearing a path. It was also a tool for cutting wood. This was different from the tools Lei Xingfeng used to cut trees in his previous life. The cultivators here were too strong. Without a certain level of strength, it was impossible to wield a machete that weighed more than 100 kilograms. This kind of machete was nothing to a 9th ring sage. With a sweep of the machete, even a tree as thick as a bucket would be cut in half. The two 9th ring sages swept the trees back and forth with their machetes. They were extremely fast, equivalent to a normal person walking at a brisk pace. After about half an hour, another two 9th ring sages came forward, took the machetes, and continued forward. This was a flat plain. Even if there were ups and downs, there were only small hills. What entered his eyes was a sea of greenery, filled with dense vegetation. Xi and Feng would enter the forest from time to time, quickly digging up one or a few plants, all of which were rather precious herbs. Ever since he had obtained the star python record from his sister's secret sect, his knowledge of plants had greatly improved. Now that Xi and Feng could differentiate between large amounts of plants, adding on his pair of mystical eyes, he was able to continuously obtain rare plants. Lei Xingfeng darted out of the group from time to time. Next to him, Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love were on guard. They went back and forth countless times. Finally, Wu Yang followed and found Lei Xingfeng digging up plants. Lacquered phoenix nest. Wu Yang saw the precious spirit plant Lei Xingfeng was digging up. He was very surprised because this lacquered phoenix nest was more than 200 meters away from the group. It grew under a few trees and was covered up tightly. If not for the trees, it would be impossible to see it. Lei Xingfeng grinned. Little sister wanted this spirit plant. Wu Yang asked curiously, "How did you find it?" Lei Xingfeng didn't dare to say that he saw the treasure light. He smiled. "I felt there was something good, so I came to take a look. Sure enough, I found it." These words were definitely nonsense. Wu Yang knew in his heart, but didn't expose him. He smiled and said, "How mystical. Ah, Feng, with such a mystical feeling, you will definitely strike it rich in the outer realm." Lei Xingfeng laughed. "Of course, I like to be rich, Wu Yang said, "Be careful when you dig. Don't fall behind." Then he turned and left. Lei Xingfeng said, "Yes, Grandmaster. I will be careful. Someone is on guard." After digging up the lacquered phoenix nest, he threw it into the mirror dimension. There were people there who took care of the spirit plants and quickly planted them. After Lei Xingfeng obtained the mirror dimension, all the rare plants he obtained were transplanted. Therefore, the spirit plants he dug up were different from before. no matter if they were mature or not. He would replant them in the mirror dimension. After walking for 3 days, they encountered a gigantic trench. This was a gigantic fissure that was several hundred meters wide, and it was impossible to see its depths. There was even a white mist floating below, and it was emitting a strange whistling sound. This fissure stretched from east to west, extending to both sides. It was unknown how long it was, how deep it was, or how it was formed. Feng Qinzong said, "One of you go and try flying through this fissure." A sixth ring sage came to the edge of the fissure. His face was pale. If this was his hometown, he wouldn't be afraid and would have already flown over. But here he was terrified. No wonder the outer space was said to be extremely dangerous. Of course he would be afraid. After all, he had walked all the way here. Even hidden sex ancestors didn't dare to fly. His entire body flickered with brilliance. That was the greatest protection he could provide. Moreover, he also sent out his own seal. This guy was the most common fire seal. He directly placed it on top of his head, and a scarlet curtain of light hung down to protect his body. The crimson curtain of light formed by the fire seal was like a water droplet. The top was sharp, and the bottom was round. If this defense was broken, then even if it didn't die, he would be half dead, especially since he was a sixth ring sage. He had only just formed his seal and wasn't a true high-level sage yet. Wu Yang shook his head and raised his hand to form a layer of defense. "Don't worry. I'm here. Even if there's danger, I can save you." Only then did the man relax and say, "Yes." He suddenly flew up from the edge of the fissure and madly flew to the other side. His speed was obviously his greatest ability. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but shake his head. This idiot. He's not holding back at all. Flying at full speed. This isn't good. Jean Dias said, "What's not good about it? He just wants to get to the other side as soon as possible." Lei Xingfeng said, "If it were me, I would at least hold back 30% of my strength. I definitely wouldn't fly at full speed because he doesn't have any flexibility. Once there's a change, he won't be able to deal with it." In just a few seconds, that person had already reached the middle of the fissure. He estimated that in a few more seconds, he would be able to cross it. It was as if there was an invisible suction force. When he reached the middle of the fissure, he suddenly stopped. His entire body was like a statue, unable to move. Then, it was as if there was an invisible rope tied to his feet. Whoosh! He fell straight down. His speed was too fast. In less than a second, he disappeared. Lei Xingfeng heard a hurried shout. However, in a very short time, he lost everything in an instant. Everyone at the fissure was dumbfounded. Even Wu Yang, who was prepared, couldn't save him in time. Feng Qinzong said in horror, "What the F***CK is this?" That man was his subordinate. Although he wasn't a guard, he was still a member of his family. Almost everyone's expression changed. This was different from a battle between humans and beasts. You couldn't find the enemy at all. Everyone took a few steps back. Wu Yang said, "We can't go over here. We'll follow the fissure to the east." There was no discussion about rescuing. In this kind of place, there was no such thing as rescuing. Protecting the others was the right thing to do. As the leader, Wu Yang decisively gave up. He knew that it was normal for dozens of people to die for one person. Lei Xingfeng also understood this, but he felt a little uncomfortable. However, he wisely didn't say anything. At this time, as a direct descendant, no matter what decision Wu Yang made, even if it was unreasonable, he had to support it. Moreover, he also agreed with this kind of giving up. His discomfort was only caused by some strange ideas from his previous life. Jean Dia saw that Lei Xingfeng's expression wasn't good. He tried to persuade him. There's no other way. In this kind of place, luck is more important. Wu Yang glanced at Lei Xingfeng. He didn't try to persuade him. He just silently walked towards the east. After walking for about 8 days, they found a narrow place. It was only about 40 meters wide. Wu Yang didn't send anyone to explore this time. Instead, he said, "Send a few people. Cut down a giant tree and put it on top of the bridge. I don't believe that we can't cross." Immediately, everyone let out a sigh of relief. Anyone could go and explore. There were all kinds of people who died here. It was possible to not even see the body. Just like the person last time, no one knew if he was alive or dead. They only knew that he fell, and no one dared to go down to investigate. Soon, a giant tree about 100 meters tall was cut down. It was quickly carried over by a few people and erected on the shore. Then, together, they pushed it towards the opposite shore. The tree fell with a loud crash and was instantly placed on the opposite shore. This formed a tree bridge. To everyone's surprise, the tree bridge didn't break. It looked very sturdy. Feng Qinzong said, "Who's first?" Almost everyone took a step back. Lei Xingfeng bitterly smiled. "I'll go." Jin Dia grabbed him. "I'll go." Lei Xingfeng said, "Okay, I'll follow behind you." As he spoke, he gave Jin Dia a look. The effective range of his mirror realm was about 10 to 20 meters. As long as he was within range, no matter what danger Jin Dia encountered, he was confident that he could pull him into his mirror realm. Jin Dia reacted quickly. He immediately understood Lei Xingfeng's meaning. "I'll slow down." A Feng, don't follow too closely. Wu Yang didn't stop him. He glanced at Feng Qinzong. That chill made Feng Qinzong quite uncomfortable. Since Lei Xingfeng's subordinate was willing to go first, he had no reason to stop him. He regretted it. He might as well find someone else and give the order directly. Looking at the situation, the founder was very dissatisfied. Jin Dia walked directly onto the tree bridge and carefully walked forward. He also activated all his defenses and released his seal. This was something he had to do. It had nothing to do with being afraid of death. Chapter 387. Xian Feng also released his lightning stamp, his entire body flickering with lightning as he followed behind Jin Dia about 10 meters away, moving forward step by step. Wu Yang also followed. He stood 10 meters behind Lei Xingfeng. At this distance, if there was any danger, he was confident that he could drag Lei Xingfeng back. When they reached the middle of the bridge, an invisible pressure suddenly descended. Instantly, Jin Dia's hair stood on end. He felt that he had completely lost control. Bang! He fell onto the tree trunk. Lei Xingfeng was shocked. Just as he was about to put him into the mirror world, he heard Jin Dia shout, "Don't move. Wait." This was for Lei Xingfeng to hear. He seemed to have grasped something. Lei Xingfeng and Wu Yang stood still. Jin Dia quickly put away Lei Yin and canceled his defense. Then he slowly stood up and walked to the other side. As he walked, he shouted, "Don't use Yinli. Just relax and walk." Seeing Jin Dia walk to the other side, everyone cheered. Lei Xingfeng said thoughtfully, "I understand." Then he put away Lei Yin, canceled his defense, and walked over. Soon, Lei Xingfeng and Wu Yang reached the other side. Wu Yang said, "What a pity." Lei Xingfeng, of course, understood what Wu Yang meant. He felt pity for the people who died before him. He didn't know what happened to this crack, but it restricted the power of cultivators. If they flew, they would be courting death. Lei Xingfeng sighed. "Without the tree bridge, none of us can cross." Wu Yang said, "Not necessarily. If you have the strength of a Tao Lord, you can probably cross. If it was me, I have an 80% chance of crossing." Feng Qinzong also walked over. If a Tao Lord can do it, it should be possible to use a hidden gate. Lei Xingfeng said gloomily, "We can just use the secret door. Why do we have to let others test it?" Feng Qinzong bitterly smiled. "I didn't expect this at all. How would I know it would turn out like this?" Wu Yang said, "It's nothing. In a place like this, it's impossible not to lose a few people. This is the price we have to pay. Of course, we just have to be more careful." After everyone had passed, Wu Yang destroyed the tree bridge with a single palm strike. Wu Yang said, "Let's go." Continuing forward, after another 10 days of walking, Xian Feng still continued to collect spiritual herbs. Along the way, he had collected a few dozen types, reaching a few hundred precious plants, which he kept in the mirror world and replanted. In fact, Lei Xingfeng also found a lot of mineral deposits. It was just that he didn't have the time to excavate them. He didn't even have the time to investigate them, so he didn't know what they were. However, he recorded them down little by little. When they passed through the cracks in the ground, Lei Xingfeng saw some spots of light in the cracks. Some of them were even emitting extremely strong light. According to his experience, those were definitely precious minerals. However, he didn't have the time or energy to excavate them, so he had to give up for now. Finally, one day, Wu Yang announced that they would build an outpost here and confirm the location of the hidden gate. This was a stone forest area with rugged rocks of strange shapes, some of which were hundreds of meters tall. It was like a maze, surrounded by countless waterways. It was a rather secretive place. Wu Yang did not go deep into it, but at the edge of the stone forest, which was less than a few hundred meters into the stone forest, he found a relatively flat area to set up an outpost camp. Wu Yang said, "Confirm our hidden gate here. At the same time, build living quarters, set up an outpost, and arrange for people to be on duty." With that order, everyone started to get busy. First, they had to tidy up the ground. This was very easy. They were all cultivators with profound martial arts. Leveling the ground was very easy. Those huge rocks could be easily broken by even a 6th ring sage, let alone a 9th ring sage. Other than Wu Yang, everyone else had to do it. Even Feng Qinzong was no exception. After 2 days of work, the ground was leveled. It was an irregular piece of flat land surrounded by huge rocks. It was about 2,000 square meters. It wasn't very big. There were many small, empty spaces around it. The big ones were 100 square meters, and the small ones were only 20 square meters. Therefore, the houses were built around the flat land. There were no buildings in the central area. Because Lei Xingfeng was a direct disciple, he chose a secret place. He went through a stone cave and found an empty space. There were no roads around, unless he went through the cave or flew out. This place was only 100 square meters. It wasn't small, but it wasn't big either. Jean Dia and the others built a wooden hut. Half of the space was covered by the wooden hut, and the other half was empty. At least some light could come in. Otherwise, it would be too dark. Lei Xingfeng didn't care about the quality of his living quarters. If he wanted to live well, he could just enter the mirror realm. When the outpost was finished, Wu Yang immediately opened the hidden gate and quickly sent away most of the people. Only 30 or so people were left behind to guard the place. Feng Qinzong quickly left the outer space and returned to the Dawn continent. He had to go back and give the new coordinates to Gucci. Of course, he wouldn't come back for the time being. His mission was to guard the Dawn continent camp. Lei Xingfeng didn't go back because Wu Yang asked him to stay. He was temporarily in charge of the outpost. Someone had to be in charge here. 2 days later, Wu Yang left the camp. This time, he didn't take Lei Xingfeng with him. Instead, he went alone. Lei Xingfeng didn't mind. After Wu Yang left, he immediately took Jean Dia and the others to explore the surrounding terrain. Of course, he couldn't travel far. He could only move around the outpost. The terrain in this area was quite complicated. There were mountains, rivers, and dense forests. The most common thing was all kinds of strange boulders. In addition, there were large amounts of spirit herbs. As for mineral deposits, they didn't find anything particularly valuable. Lei Xingfeng quickly discovered the uniqueness of this place. There weren't any threatening animals. He didn't find any large carnivorous beasts. There were only a few wolf-like beasts that posed no threat to them. Instead, there were many wild chickens, ducks, rabbits, rats, and wild deer. It was Lei Xingfeng's first time seeing some of the animals. In addition, there were countless birds of all kinds and sizes. There were countless rivers here. They were all small rivers. The widest was no more than 20 meters. The most common ones were a few meters wide. The water flowed rapidly and the water was clear. One could see countless fish and animals like otters in the rivers. Other than a portion of the immortals who had to stay at home, most of the immortals in the outpost went out to search for valuable materials. Of course, they couldn't go too far. They were all within 1 or 2 days of travel. Because this area was relatively safe, the management of the outpost was relatively lax. On this day, Lei Xingfeng entered the mirror realm with Jean Dia and Mad Eagle. Tiger Love was still guarding the outpost. Lei Xingfeng wasn't there, so he was in charge of the camp. Wu Yang was nowhere to be found. There were no direct descendants in the camp. Therefore, when Lei Xingfeng and the others weren't there, he was in charge of the camp. When Lei Xingfeng returned home, Jean Depan had already set the table full of dishes. He was just waiting for Lei Xingfeng and the others to come back to rest and eat. During this time, Lei Xingfeng had found a large number of spirit herbs. Many immortals were busy replanting them. Others were busy building houses. The entire mirror realm was prosperous. Lei Xingfeng, Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Ishan all sat down. Jean Depan came out last. He carried a large plate of fried pancakes and put on the table next to him. Then he sat down next to Mad Eagle and said, "Let's eat first. You must be hungry." The blackbird said, "Where's the bird's food?" Jean Depan didn't dare to offend the blackbird. He turned his wrist and took out a plate of fresh meat. He put on the table next to him and said, "Go and eat." The blackbird spread its wings and flew down. That's more like it. Lei Xingfeng's greatest enjoyment now was to return to the mirror realm and eat Jean Depan's cooking. This guy's cooking skills were still improving rapidly. The taste of his food had far surpassed that of Lei Xingfeng's previous life. There were all kinds of strange dishes that tasted wonderful. It was definitely a super enjoyment. Although Jean Dia would reprimand Jean Depang for his slow cultivation speed, he was also infatuated with Jean Depang's culinary skills. They didn't say anything and just buried their heads in the food. Everyone knew that the faster the hand, the less the hand, the less the hand, the less the food. A single dish wasn't much, and everyone present was a glutton. If they spoke, they might not be able to get anything. Finally, the fried pancakes were served. Lei Xingfeng deliberately wrapped the pancakes with meat and ate slowly. He said, "Fatty's cooking skills are getting better and better." Jean Depan smiled with satisfaction. Anyway, praising his cooking skills made him happier than praising his cultivation. Jean Dia snorted, but he didn't reprimand Jean Depan. After all, they had just eaten his food. It wouldn't be right to reprimand him. Mad Eagle chuckled. "You're starting to get picky. Every time we eat outside, it's a painful thing. Only when we come back and eat Depan's food can it be considered a real enjoyment." Jean Depan said obsequiously, "Uncle Ling, next time I'll prepare some delicious cold food for you. No matter if you eat it hot or cold, it'll taste good." Jean Dia said, "What about me?" Jean Depan immediately said, both of you. Lei Xingfeng sighed. Jean Dia asked, "What's the matter? Why are you sighing?" Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. "Actually, I want to find a thunderstorm area. I can't delay any longer." The pressure in his heart was increasing. The strong sense of urgency made him quite anxious. Suddenly, everyone at the table fell silent. This seemed like a very simple wish, but no one could fulfill Lei Xingfeng's wish. Ishanel said, "If you stay in the mirror realm, you'll never find a suitable place. Master, you still need to explore the outside world. I believe that there must be a suitable place. It's just that you haven't found it yet." Jean Dia said, "Yes, there might be a suitable place in the outer space. A phone. It's just that you haven't been to many places and haven't found it yet." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. "I can't go far. I can only move around the outpost. Even if there's a suitable place for advancement, it'll be difficult for me to find it. Well, even if that's the case, I'll have to search for it once before I'm satisfied." Chapter 388. Jean Dia said, "I'll go with you." Mad Eagle said, "Okay, I'll go with you too." Jean Depang said, I'll stay here. Haha, I'll save you some trouble. Don't worry, I'll make the best food. Let's welcome A phone back." Lei Xingfeng was still very touched. No matter what, even though he was a bit a loner in this life, he still found a lot of friends. He never acted like he was the owner of Jean Dia, Mad Eagle, and Tiger Love. He called them Uncle Jean, Uncle Ing, and Uncle Tiger. He treated them as his elders. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love had been protecting Lei Xingfeng before he grew up. Although Jean Dia joined later, he always took care of Lei Xingfeng conscientiously. In the most dangerous times, he would give up everything to save him. Lei Xingfeng had no doubts about this. Lei Xingfeng nodded. He didn't say any words of thanks. They all knew what kind of people they were. Jean Dia smiled and patted Jean Depang's fat shoulder. Make more delicious food. Also, you're so stingy every time. There's only one small plate for each dish. It's not enough for us to eat. Jean Depang said helplessly, if there's too much food, it won't taste good. Don't you know that a small pot of food is better than a big pot of rice? If there's too much food, it won't be strange anymore. The blackbird flew back to Lei Xingfeng's shoulder and said, also, don't miss out on bird meat. Caw, even if there's no star beast meat, make more delicious fresh meat. Birds eat wild ones, not domesticated ones. Caw. Jean Depang couldn't help but curse. But when he thought of the consequences, he held back and ignored this hateful bird. Lei Xingfeng was amused. He turned to look at the blackbird and didn't say anything. The blackbird immediately hit its head in its wings and muttered, I can't see the bird. I can't see the bird. Lei Xingfeng was amused and laughed. Although this blackbird was a bastard, it was still quite obedient to him. Thinking about it, even if he scolded this guy, it would still be dead. The blackbird escaped a scolding, and it was getting more and more cunning. After dinner, Lei Xingfeng brought Jean Dia and Mad Eagle back to the outpost. Seeing Lei Xingfeng and the others come out, Tiger Love smiled and said, You're finally back. Lei Xingfeng asked, Did something happen? Tiger Love said, No, I'm just bored here alone. Mad Eagle took out a large wooden plate and said, This is from Fatty. Eat it while it's hot. Tiger Love stepped forward and took it. He smiled and said, Not bad. Fatty still thinks of me. Hee hee. It was all his favorite food, big pieces of red braised meat and deep-fried dough cakes. He knew how to eat them, so he rolled the red braised meat into the deep-fried dough cakes. This way of eating was very annoying, but Tiger Love liked it very much. He was different from Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng liked to eat vegetables, but this guy couldn't eat meat without it. Moreover, he liked to eat fatty meat. The greasier it was, the more appetizing it was. He was the so-called hardcore. Lei Xingfeng said, When Grandmaster comes back, or when Junior Uncle comes back, we'll run away. Now is not the time. We can't leave it all. He was responsible for the safety of the entire camp. Although the task wasn't heavy, he couldn't leave. Jean Dia said, I don't know what's in this pile of strange rocks. It seems very dangerous. Mad Eagle said, Grandmaster said not to go in. I'm afraid there's something strange in there. Lei Xingfeng was shocked. He said, Could it be a forbidden area? Jean Dia said, That's hard to say. Actually, I have some doubts about this place. Lei Xingfeng said, What doubts? Jean Dia said, Here. Have you noticed that there are no ferocious beasts here? It's very strange that you can't find any ferocious beasts. Moreover, the extraterrestrial starry sky has always been a dangerous place in legends. We haven't encountered any danger since we arrived here. It would be strange if there weren't any dangers in this vast forest of strange stones. Mad Eagle slapped his thigh and said, Right. No wonder I always felt that something was wrong. I couldn't say anything. Old Jean is right. This place is too strange. I think there might be some kind of forbidden area inside the stone forest. Hee hee, a foam. Do you want to check it out? Lei Xingfeng was very hesitant. He knew how terrifying forbidden areas were. He had not advanced yet, so he could not use the mirror realm. Once he entered, he might not be able to get out. If he was unlucky, he might not be able to get out even if Wu Yong personally came to rescue him. Was this risk worth taking? Thinking of the various puppet beasts he had, Lei Xingfeng had an idea. He said, We can give it a try. I'll use the puppet beasts to clear the way. If it doesn't work, we'll retreat. Jean Dia said, Why don't I go with you? Old Eagle and Tiger will stay at home. It shouldn't be a short trip this time. Mad Eagle hesitated for a moment and said, I think I'll go. Lei Xingfeng said, Uncle Jean will go with me. Uncle Ing and Uncle Tiger will stay at home. If anything happens, Uncle Jean will rush back to report. Mad Eagle said, Fine. A phone, you be careful. Lei Xingfeng said, Okay, you guys be careful too. Restrain everyone and don't go too far. This place is only safe around here. Everyone can gather materials nearby. Mad Eagle agreed. He said, A phone, some things can't be rushed. If you feel that something is wrong, just retreat. There's no need to put yourself in a desperate situation. He had long seen that Lei Xingfeng was very gentle on the surface. He was not flamboyant when dealing with people, but he had a trace of madness. As long as he was not provoked, he would be fine. However, once he went crazy, he could be very scary. This was something that even Lei Xingfeng did not understand. His gentle personality in his previous life had brought him great benefits, especially after he had cultivated the thunder element. If not for the balance of his personality in his previous life, he would not have been like this. However, even with the suppression of his gentle personality in his previous life, the thunder element had still brought him many things. Madness, irritation, and other factors were hidden in his bones. Lei Xingfeng nodded in agreement. He said, "Uncle Gene, let's go." A small metal spider the size of a fist quickly crawled past. Its legs were extremely agile as it scuttled onto a strange rock. This strange rock was nearly 100 meters tall. The metal spider quickly climbed to the top. Its body turned once, and then it quickly retracted its claws. Like a round stone, it rolled down from the top of the strange rock. After bouncing a few times on the ground, the metal spider stretched out its 8 claws and continued moving forward. Lei Xingfeng and Jin Dia stood in front of a crack in the rock. After a while, Lei Xingfeng said, "No problem. Let's continue walking." Jin Dia laughed. Using the metal bug to scout is really convenient. You can already control it completely? Lei Xingfeng said, "A few hundred meters. Any further, and it will be a little difficult, especially here with rocks everywhere. However, with the metal bug, it's much more convenient. At the very least, we know the terrain ahead." It was already the 4th day. Lei Xingfeng and Jin Dia barged into the stone forest, relying on the metal bug to scout the way. Although there were bumps along the way, it was still considered relatively smooth. The deeper they went, the weirder the shapes of the boulders became. Furthermore, the paths inside were extremely complicated. Many of them were dead ends. Fortunately, with the metal bug to scout the way, the two of them did not go astray. There was no choice. No one dared to fly here. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they did not even dare to climb to the top of the boulders. This was because Lei Xingfeng had once reached a dead end. There were boulders all around, and there was no way to go. Jin Dia wanted to fly to a boulder and then climb over it. Lei Xingfeng was not reassured. He flew to one side of the boulder and stuck close to the stone wall. He directly released a metal bug. As soon as the bug stood up, it was hit by an extremely faint light. It melted instantly and fell from the boulder. At this point, Lei Xingfeng and Jin Dia were completely convinced that there was a forbidden area in the stone forest. The two of them discussed this matter several times. In the end, Lei Xingfeng decided to continue forward and retreat when there was no other way. They could only travel through the stone forest, so it was very important to scout the way. Lei Xingfeng controlled a dozen metal bugs to scout the way. Gradually, they went deeper into the stone forest. With the mirror realm, it was much easier to explore. When it was time to eat, the two would go back to eat. Jean Depeng must have prepared a meal for them. If they wanted to rest, they could go back to the mirror realm to sleep. With the mirror realm, exploring was a pleasure. The first time Lei Xingfeng passed through the hidden door, he entered the extremely cold place, Hanya Castle. If he had the mirror realm, he would not have been afraid at all. When the cold wave came, all he had to do was hide in the mirror realm. This was a super shelter. Jin Dia said, "A foam. Do you feel your body getting heavier and heavier?" Lei Xingfeng said, "I felt it a long time ago. It's increasing bit by bit. It doesn't affect us much. Of course, we have to be careful." The fist-sized metal bugs followed one path after another. When there was nowhere to go, they would directly climb over the strange boulders. Because they were too small, they would not attract attacks. Lei Xingfeng and Jin Dia walked slower and slower. The main reason was that Lei Xingfeng had started to be cautious. Jin Dia's eyes were also serious. He said, "I don't know what awaits us ahead." Lei Xingfeng said, "It's okay. I left a mark. If we are trapped here, The founder should be able to find us. Jean Dia gritted his teeth. Whatever. If we can enter the forbidden area, we might find something good. Then he suddenly laughed and said, That's right. Your luck is heaven-defying. I shouldn't be worried. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but smile bitterly. He knew what his luck was. It was definitely not luck, but his eyes. Perhaps it was because of his thunder attribute, but he could see many rare treasures. It was not very useful for the forbidden area. The two of them walked slowly at the same speed as a normal person. Lei Xingfeng suddenly stopped. He said, The bugs encountered something. Jean Dia didn't say anything. Instead, he looked around cautiously. The scene in the distance appeared in Lei Xingfeng's mind. A dozen metal bugs were stopped in front of an invisible barrier. Although they tried their best to crawl forward, an invisible force stopped them. They could only toss and turn in place, unable to move forward. Chapter 389. Lei Xingfeng said, There's no danger, but we can't get past it. It's like something is blocking us. We can't see it. Jean Dia said, No danger? Okay, I'll go check it out. He ran along the path. Lei Xingfeng was stunned, but he quickly followed and said, Don't rush. Let's go together. After many turns, the two quickly arrived at the place where the metal puppets were. This was a small, empty space surrounded by huge rocks. Interestingly, almost all the puppets were gathered here, crawling back and forth anxiously. Jean Dia slowly approached and said, There seems to be an invisible force blocking us. It's actually making it difficult for me to move. Lei Xingfeng also approached. He also felt a force slowing him down. When he came to the place where the force was blocking them, the force was even stronger, but it couldn't stop him for now. Gradually, Lei Xingfeng came to Jean Dia's side. He reached out and collected the metal puppets that were crawling on the ground. He said, Let's see if we can touch the seal. Jean Dia smiled. Okay, let's move forward. The more they moved forward, the stronger the force blocking them. Soon, the two arrived at the place where the metal puppets couldn't move forward. Unexpectedly, they moved forward a few steps at the same time. Lei Xingfeng thought for a while and understood. The metal puppets weren't strong enough, so when the force blocking them stopped them from moving forward, these metal puppets could only go around in circles. In other words, Lei Xingfeng and Jean Dia could still move forward. The two of them were much stronger. As they moved forward, pressure came from all directions. Lei Xingfeng praised, This seal is really amazing. It can't be seen or touched, but it can stop people from moving forward. Jean Dia's body was shining. He had already started to use his yin force to increase his walking strength. Lei Xingfeng's body was also flashing with electric arcs. The two of them had unknowingly used a lot of strength. After about 10 meters, Jean Dia shook his head. No, I can't take it anymore. Their bodies started to shake violently, resisting the increasing force blocking them. Lei Xingfeng roared, Seal. His Lei Yin emerged, and in an instant, a misty green light descended, and threads of purple lightning quickly enveloped him. Jean Dia also released his seal. Immediately, the two of them felt relaxed. They looked at each other, and Jean Dia said, Continue. The two of them continued walking, and after walking for another 10 meters, they arrived in front of two huge rocks. There was a passageway here, and it was a passageway between the two huge rocks. However, even with the seals, the two of them were unable to withstand the pressure from their bodies. Lei Xingfeng said, I don't know if we can reach that passage. Jean Dia said, How would we know if we don't try? Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, All right, I don't feel any danger right now, so we don't have to worry too much. Jean Dia nodded and said, I'll be in front, you'll be behind. Lei Xingfeng shouted, Charge! The two of them seemed to be moving in slow motion, moving forward bit by bit. Their seals were shining brightly, and their yin energy was quickly depleted. After a full 10 minutes, the two of them finally arrived in front of the passageway. They only needed to take one step to enter the passageway. Actually, this passageway was actually a crack in the rocks. Lei Xingfeng took a step and heard a soft sound, as if a bubble had popped. Instantly, his entire body felt relaxed, and he said in surprise, "Damn, we're here. Ha 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 ha." Jean Dia also took a step, and his seal suddenly shone brightly. He smiled and said, "Interesting seal. If we were a little weaker, we probably wouldn't be able to pass." Lei Xingfeng said, "That's right. I think this seal should be weak, and it's a little different from the seals I've seen before." Jean Dia said, "I don't know if it's related to these rocks." Lei Xingfeng said, "If it is, then we've gotten lucky. Wait a minute, I'll release some metal puppets." Jean Dia smiled and said, "I hope we'll be lucky this time." A dozen metal puppets landed on the ground, and these puppets rolled a few times on the ground. Then, they stretched out their 8 claws and rushed forward quickly. Jean Dia said, "Let me go first." Lei Xingfeng said, "Wait a minute. Let's wait for the puppets to check before we go. It's never wrong to be careful." After a moment, Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "Let's go." This time, it was really Lei Xingfeng's luck. There was a seal here, but it was the defensive seal of the forbidden area. It was only disturbed by the huge rocks, and its power could not be gathered. After many years, the blocking power was almost gone, and this allowed Lei Xingfeng and Jean Dia to take advantage and rush directly into the forbidden area. As they walked along the crack in the rocks, Lei Xingfeng suddenly pulled Jean Dia and said, "Wait, something's wrong." Jean Dia was shocked and said, "What's wrong?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Strange. Why is there fog?" Jean Dia said, "What fog? You said there's fog in front of the passage?" Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "Yes, my puppet lost its direction." "Strange. Let's go ahead." Soon, the two of them came to the other end of the passage. At a glance, there was indeed a thick white fog in front of them. They could not see the situation inside at all. Xi Feng and Jean Dia looked at each other, both of them dumbfounded. What they feared the most was fog, who knew what was inside it. Jean Dia said, "Why don't I scout ahead?" Lei Xingfeng thought for a moment and said, "I have an idea." Jean Dia said, "How?" Xi Feng smiled faintly, and with a wave of his hand, 10 steel dolls were released along with 2 large spiders. "Let's use the steel dolls to scout the way. We'll sit on the large spiders. Hey, this way will be safer." Jean Dia clapped and said, "Good. That's a good idea." Even if they lost a few metal puppets, Lei Xingfeng would not feel bad. If there was any danger, they would have time to escape. With the 10 metal puppets in front and the metal puppet, Lei Xingfeng felt safer even if they could not see anything. Lei Xingfeng jumped on one of the metal spiders while Jean Dia jumped on the other. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. Lei Xingfeng said, "Let's go." The metal spiders shook as they walked. They were too big and clanked as they moved forward. The 10 steel humanoid beasts in front of them fanned out. They all held weapons in their hands. 5 of them held extremely thick steel shields, while the other 5 held large axes. 2 of them formed a group and moved forward to explore. Since Lei Xingfeng was commanding, the metal puppets would not get lost in the white fog. Heavy footsteps could be heard from the fog. Jean Dia said curiously, "I realized. Why are there no stones? Will we get lost if we walk like this?" Lei Xingfeng also felt that it was strange. They seemed to have entered an empty space. He said, "It's fine. I left 2 metal puppet bugs in the crevice. We won't get lost." With the help of the tools and weapons, Lei Xingfeng felt much better. At least he had helpers. It did not matter whether they were human or not. What mattered was that he could use these tools and weapons to achieve his goal. The white fog was very quiet, but the metal puppets and metal spiders under Lei Xingfeng's command broke the silence. The metal puppets were very heavy. When they stepped on the ground, they would make a loud sound and shake. As for the metal spiders, they were even heavier and made louder sounds and movements. They walked for more than 10 minutes. Lei Xingfeng and Jean Dia were really bewildered. For more than 10 minutes, they did not encounter anything. At first, the ground was still filled with gravel, but after walking for a while, they could see that there were countless cracks on the ground. Soon, the ground was completely flat. It was as if the stone ground was endless. The two of them were a little confused. Lei Xingfeng estimated that they had walked for almost half an hour, but the fog still did not dissipate. Jean Dias said, "Why is this place so strange?" Lei Xingfeng said, "It's a forbidden area. You can't say for sure." Jean Dias said, "It's too strange. Why am I so scared?" He was also a veteran. He did not know how many battles he had fought and how many dangerous places he had been to. However, he had never been to a place like this that made him feel so uneasy. Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. "Me too. I don't care. If we turn back now, I won't be satisfied." The two of them discussed for a while. The metal spiders under them were still moving forward. Suddenly, Lei Xingfeng said with joy, "They're out? The metal bug is out." He could use the metal bug to observe the places it passed by. He realized that it had already left the fog. Lei Xingfeng and Jean Dia rode out of the fog on the metal spiders. They saw a huge wall. This wall was about 100 meters tall and extended to the left and right. Tall stone towers could be seen from the sides. The two of them were bewildered. What was behind such a huge wall? They could not see the end of it. When they looked up, they could see the top of the stone towers. Lei Xingfeng said carefully, "This is a complete forbidden area. We're rich, haha." He could not help but laugh. The worst thing about forbidden areas was that they could not see anything. It was extremely difficult to find buildings. Most of the time, they were not complete. It was Jean Dia's first time entering a forbidden area. He did not know how scary it was. He said, "How do we go up? Fly up?" Lei Xingfeng said hurriedly, No, we can't fly." What a joke. The forbidden area definitely forbade flying. Whoever flew up would be unlucky. Perhaps only Dao Lords could fly without fear. This was because Dao Lords had extremely powerful strength and could resist attacks from the forbidden area. They still placed the metal bug in front. It was not very strong, but it was enough to attract firepower. With it, the metal bug would be the first to block the front if there was any danger. Xian Feng wasn't afraid of anything but sudden attacks. But with the steel mannequin beast in front of him, he was at ease. Commanding the steel mannequin beast to follow the high wall, Xian Feng and Jean Dia sat on the back of the large metal spider and followed along. Very quickly, the steel mannequins in front of them stopped, and Xian Feng noticed that the high wall had collapsed. Radial cracks extended from the fog all the way to the high wall, forming a huge slope made of broken rocks. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.